Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and I wanted to create a free guide for you guys talking about how to build a website or why it's important to have a presence online that is your very own thing. So you can have your own Facebooks, Instagrams, Twitters, Flickrs, 500 pics, whatever you want, but it's still important to have your own space, your own website that you're in control of because you can control the message and the reach. Now, what I want to tell you is that what I say isn't the gospel. It's my opinion, and it's what I do and what I find works for me. But that may not be what you find works for you. If you can get some information out of what I'm saying and make your site that much better, that is all that matters. Now, some of you may be saying, well, why don't you just hire somebody to build the website for you? Well, not everybody has thousands upon thousands of dollars to spend on somebody to build a website for them. You could spend $2,000, you could spend $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 on a website, and I feel it's better to do it yourself. I build mine personally in Squarespace because it's easy. I can do it myself. I don't have to call someone at 2 in the morning and say, hey, can you make this change for me right now because I had an idea. I can do it myself. And that's what it's all about right here. And so what I'm going to go through step by step in this guide, I'm going to give you the techniques and tips and tricks to things that I think work. I'm going to show you examples of things that I don't think are on par and how you can make them better. I'm using real world examples, not just my website and not just fake things made up. We're using actual people's websites that are out there in the world right now to show you what is good and to show you what could be better and how to get there. It doesn't matter what you're going to build your website in, whether it's Squarespace, whether it's WordPress, whether it's something else out there, it doesn't matter because it's about the theories and mentalities that you use to build what you're building, where things go, that's what really matters. So what I want to do right now is dive in, start getting to work, and let's build something great. The first thing you have to decide is what platform are you going to build your website on. There's a lot of free platforms out there as well as pay platforms. I personally use Squarespace, like I said, because it's affordable and an easy solution to use, but there are free ones out there like Wix and WordPress. Now, let me just say that WordPress is free. But if you're not a coder and you don't know where to get server access and how to work FTPs and how to do all of the back-end stuff, that free is going to take up a lot of extra time because as a creative, your time is very important. So if you can pick a platform that is easy to use, that you can control yourself, that takes care of all of the mundane stuff that you don't want to learn how to do, then you're going to be better off when you do that. So again, there's a lot of free platforms, there's pay platforms. You can hire somebody to do it. If you really want to spend the money, you could direct them on what you want on the site, but I feel it's better to take control of it yourself. So you've picked your platform, and the rest is determined by what type of creative are you? Are you a photographer, a videographer, a musician? Are you somebody who has a store because you want to do an e-commerce site? Or are you just somebody who, maybe you're a model and you just need a place to call your home? You have to decide which type of creative you are to determine what type of platform you go with and which direction you're going to go. But really, it's all pretty similar no matter what you are, whether you're creating a site because you're a creative, like a photographer or a videographer, or you're trying to sell something online. This guide is going to help you do that. But with that said, you need to figure out your URL. How are you going to decide on a name or what to purchase? I still recommend finding the .com more than .org and .net and all of those other high-level domain names that are now for sale. It's just, there's something about the lexicon where you think .com before you think anything else. So if you're going to pick up Squarespace for a year, they give you a free domain name, a $12.99 value, for free when you sign up for a year. I can sign up on another website. You've got Bluehost and you've got aplus.net. I think Amazon does it, where you can, GoDaddy, all of those different places are just places to purchase the rights to use a domain name. So you go on there, you search for your domain name. If it's available, you purchase it. That should be one of the first things that you do, is determine what is the website's name and what are you going to use. So that can range anywhere from $2.99 if you buy other things, or generally speaking, I've found that the reputable places are $12.99. You can purchase it through Squarespace, like I said, but I've owned mine since I was just out of high school. And I keep paying for it year after year after year because it's it's my domain name. Make sure you're protecting it. So here's some good rules of thumb, is that when you're doing it, set up auto renew so that if you forget to pay for it, you don't have to do it every single year, or you could buy multiple years at once right at the beginning. And you could also put on domain lock, which means that accidentally it's not going to be taken by somebody else. Don't know how that would happen, but do everything that you can do to protect yourself, because this is your space. This is your website, and you want to make sure that nothing happens to it. So with that being said, the next thing you want to think about is design. Now, you're going to see me use Squarespace and their templates as examples. Now, of course, outside you can buy WordPress templates, like I've said before, or get custom-made things. But for the educational part of this, we're going to stick inside of the Squarespace universe, because that's what I'm comfortable with and that's what I really like. But you have to figure out what features, what things you want to have on your site to help you determine what type of template and direction you're going to pick. Now, you may not want a very text-based website if you're going to be, a text-based template if you're going to be doing a very video or photo-centric website. You have to think about that. Or you don't want to have a store, an e-commerce store that's hard to find everything because it doesn't scream e-commerce. So that's why I'm using Squarespace to pick different templates, because they have the photography related ones. They have the templates for if you're going to do a store. There's a whole bunch of different examples, and I think we should just roll into that so I can show you the different examples that they have there, and you can decide for you which direction you'd like to go for a template. So whatever you use, just stick with it, learn it. You could even do raw HTML. It's just going to take you a long time to get there, and I think that rolls us into talking about how to pick your template. Let's dive into selecting the right template. Now, when you're picking a template, it's all going to be based on what type of site you have. So what we're going to do right now is dive in here to the computer to see a bunch of templates that Squarespace offers you. I'll show you my website to show you what template I'm using, but they've made this really easy for you, and that's what matters. You can see all the templates. You can click and see what they have just for business. Portfolios is for somebody that's going to be a photographer. That is a great template. You click here, it says portfolio, and you can see the different options that you have. Now let's take a quick look at what I have. I am using the Momentum one. So for anybody that's wondering what I'm using, my website currently is using Momentum. I've used Wells in the past. Those are just the names of them on Squarespace, but you can see different options. Do you want to have it side scrolling? Do you want to have full screen images? Do you want to have the text and menus on the left-hand side, the bottom or the top? These are things that we're going to dive in deeper as we get through further into the sections, but right now we're talking about templates. Now, if you're going to do a business site, you can see the differences with the templates that they offer. And the same thing holds true for all the different sites out there. WordPress, you can search for WordPress templates that you can purchase and then go ahead and modify them for yourself. But again, that's going to take a little longer than just diving in here and using Squarespace. But you can see that you've got things for blogs. If you're going to be a blogger, if you're starting a site where you have YouTube type videos and you want to embed them in there, you can pick something like this. We keep going. Musicians. If you're a musician, they already have templates ready to go that it's going to help showcase your audio, showcase your videos. It's just already done for you. And see, look, as a creative, we want to spend our time creating, actually getting paid or getting out there to do what we love. That if you can quickly create what you want to create on a website building platform like this, then it's going to save you time so that you can go out and do what you want to do. In the past, I've paid thousands of dollars for websites, but I haven't been happy with them because every time I want to make a change, I have to call somebody and wait and then get a bill, and it's still not what I want. So for me to be able to take control of my own space, no matter where it is really super important. Now, if you look up here, you also have online stores. If you're doing e-commerce, you have the ability to do that right here. If you're doing e-commerce and that's really part of your main focus, you could look at Squarespace, you can look at Shopify, you can look at Big Cartel. There are so many different options out there, but if you do select one, I highly recommend that you make sure it's easy for you to do yourself, unless you have a large team of people to have do it for you. Now, at that point, you're probably paying them more to do it, but I'm just a big fan of finding one of these templates that work and really That's what matters there. And the cool thing about Squarespace is if I want to make a change to the template, I can select it to see what my content would look like before I hit save. That's really important to me. So let's take a quick look through my site just real quick to give you why I'm using the template that I'm using. All right, so here we are. We've jumped onto my site real quick, and you can see something. This front thing that we're looking at right now, yes, it says enter me. That's what I put there for my website to say. You're probably not going to have something like that. I just like messing around on my own site to put weird things there. You could say enter here, see more photos, see some video, hear our music. Different things can go right here. So you can see my enter me right here. But I wanted to remind you guys of one other thing. If you just want to have a cover page is what you just saw on my website. A cover page you can pick up on Squarespace for, what is this, $5 a month. If you don't want to have a full, complete website just yet, it's at least a place that you can call your own, and you can do functioning cover pages. Just look at the different examples that you have. So you can see the different cover pages that they have right here for you to choose. But again, this is my cover page. But I want to dive into the cover page and the home page a little more. So let's hit enter me and go on to the next part. Let's jump into the home page. Now, this could be the first introduction that people have to your brand. And what I want to do is go through some samples. We'll look at my site, and we'll look at some good sites and some sites that I think could change their homepage a little bit. But this is where people are entering your brand for the first time. And what you put on a homepage is pretty important with how it's organized. Do you have social buttons? Do you have music playing? Do you have photos turning? You have to figure out what's going to work for you. But there are some rules of thumb with what you want to see on a homepage. How many links and how many galleries. A lot of this stuff goes into making a site good to making it really good and to help people find what they want to find. So right here we have a homepage from Andrew, what's it say, Ferrum? Something along those lines. Now, right off the bat, the text is a little hard to read. For me, that type of script looks hard to read. Now, actually, I don't mind his signature, because if that's close to what his signature looks like, I'm perfectly fine with that. But when you look at engagement and weddings right here on the homepage, I just think it looks very 1997-ish with that type of font that you pick the script font, which we've all done it. I used to do it back in the day because those were the fonts that you used. But when I first saw this website, I liked the direction it was going. I liked that I have a fatal alternative to make. A fatal alternative is a choice. Would you like A or would you like B? In this case, would I like to see engagements or weddings? I'm going to pick one or the other, and that is a really good thing to see on a homepage because it's directing me somewhere. And that's what it's all about. Now let's take a look up here. We have home, portfolio, and you can see there's some drop downs. We've got about me, we've got pricing, we've got contact, and then we just have one social button here, which is for Facebook. I recommend you have a contact, one of those envelopes somewhere so that you could see it. Let's see if one of these other sites have an envelope there. Yeah, right here on this RP, what's that say? Ruano Photography has their Instagram, and they have a contact button right down here. Now, this is a cool looking website. I love the side scrolling nature, and as I click, you get to go through the different pictures. You've got studio. What does studio mean? Oh, I guess it's the first thing that I'm seeing on the homepage is the studio. Then you've got portraits and Hotel Indigo, music, travel. Roids? Roids, where we're going. Oh, roids, where we're going. We don't need roids. They mean Polaroids. Now that could go different ways. Could you be steroids? I don't know, but I didn't even see that. That's pretty cool. So there's different things to choose. There's a lot of different options up here. Let's go to another site. And here's one that's built on a SmugMug platform. You can see that right here. And right off the bat, it just yells of, it says folders right here. If this is my introduction to the site, I like the photos. I like how they're there. I know that this is roads. Those are roads, and they're going somewhere. This is nature. Oh, it says places, nature, sports, music, food, fireworks. So I like having those options right on the front, but those would be good things to have in a menu bar. But I don't even see a menu bar on here at all. So I like diving in. Here, let me jump to my site one second. This is where I currently have my site taking you. It takes you to a portfolio of one of my photo stories. My personal flow is to tell photo stories, and that's what I want to do with my site. You can decide the flow that you want people to go into. So the first gallery that you show them should be your best, or should be the message that you're trying to get across. Now, what I was just saying on that other page is that it didn't have a menu bar or places to go next. I just want it to be, I want people to be able to see that they can go other places on the site. Now, my site is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not a UI designer or developer. I think it can be better, and that's what I'm building towards here, is to make it better. I want to have a page that shows everything right on the front so you can choose your own adventure. I just haven't figured out how to do it yet because I haven't spent a ton of time digging into that, but I like what's going on this site. So back to the Smug Mug one, is if it could be cleaner and it could have a menu and it could tell you where you're going, that would be a great introduction to your homepage. Remember to pick your best gallery. Now, in this case, Studio is where RP Ruano Photography wanted to take you, and these photos are great, and the flow is easy. So another one we have here is KCJ McGeorge. I for some reason want to say McGregor, but it's McGeorge. This is very similar to what a cover page would look like. It's the first place that you're entering when you get to somebody's site. So you can decide to go to cityscapes, portraits, about, whatever CV is, and contact. I'm not a big fan of putting contact on your on your cover page, because I want people only to contact me when they have a reason to contact me because they've seen my work. It's not saying it doesn't work. Again, this is my opinion for what I think should be on a site or could be on a site, and you can decide what works best for you. It's always good to test different things out, but this is an example of there's no photo on the page. But we know that this is a photography site because it says it right here in the URL. But being that it doesn't have it there, it's okay, because now I want to be like, oh, I can choose my own adventure. Maybe this is a good site, a good thing that I should consider for my homepage in this case, which is a cover page. Maybe I should put different photo stories there and direct people that way, and then they can choose their own adventure from there. So here we could dive in and we can go to portraits and we can see how the site works. It's pretty clean. You've got your social buttons right here. You've got your home, cityscapes, CV content. You've got the same information that you saw on the front page or on the cover page right here. So that is pretty cool. Let's see. There are so many photos here. So that's one thing that we would talk about, is how many photos are right for a gallery. Again, this is subjective, and I go back and forth on my own personal galleries. Should it be 40 pictures? Should it be 15? Should it be 12? I really don't think you should have less than, say, 8 or 10 photos in a gallery. If you have too few, it may seem like, well, you don't have a lot of those type of photos, and you maybe shouldn't have that on your site until you have more on that. I've seen galleries that have one photo in it, and it's called like nature or animals, and you have a picture of an animal. That doesn't exactly work in a lot of cases if that's not, yeah. So what I also want to talk about when it comes to your home page is, what message are you trying to get across? Here we have Andrew's site. We've got engagements and weddings. We have a feeling that they probably want to sell weddings. Now, should they put music and sports or some other alternative thing on this site? That's up to them, but in a lot of cases, if you're selling something, you want to make sure that your message is clear. If you're going to show something that, like boudoir photos, that could work with engagements and could work with weddings. But if you're going to show nature and travel and all of that, that may take away from the message that you're trying to get across. Now, if you're not looking to sell anything and you just want to make a great page for yourself, then by all means show 3, 4, maybe 5 different types of photography that you're into. But what I was saying about the number of images is, make sure you don't have a limited number of images for a section. If you have 2 pictures of animals, maybe don't put animals up until you've got 5, 6, 7, 8 different pictures of them that get the point across. So with homepages, your job is to sell people on what they're there to see. Are they there to see weddings? Are they there to see studio work? Now, studio portraits, we know that this person is doing a lot of those type of images. That's really good. We know this person is all over the place with what they shoot, so we don't know what their message is exactly, but it still works if the layout was slightly better. And then we come back to the homepage for Casey, which then really should lead us into talking about cover pages as an option. So we've got Casey's page right here, which really leads us back into cover pages. And so what I want to do is get my site back to the cover page, and we're going to talk about the importance of cover pages. So you're going to hear me talk a lot about Squarespace and how to use it and why I personally use it. But if you want to check it out for yourself, go to squarespace.com/fro. You can get a 14-day free trial. No credit card is needed at all. Try it out for 14 days. If you like it, go ahead and use the code FRO at checkout to get 10% off. So cover pages, what are they for? How do you make them? Who should have them? Now, again, depending on what type of creative you are, you can decide whether you want photos on the front, do you want video, do you want music playing? Now, music playing is a good choice if you are a musician, but not to autoplay. We'll talk about that in just a second. But a lot of website builders out there allow you to have a cover page. It's just that I like to use the Squarespace option because cover page is a main function of the latest edition of it, that they have a bunch of different templates that you can just drag and drop and see which one works for you. But if you're not using Squarespace, you simply can just make a page that is your landing page, because in essence, a landing page is a cover page. So here we have Andrew Wilson Photography. Let's go right back into his site and load it just to see. I love the photo off the front, right off the rip. I love this photo. And then you can see that it can auto go to the next photo. We can still read his name up here. It's a very good cover page because it shows you 1, 2, 3, 4 different examples of his photography. You can then go into the site and pick people, places, miscellaneous, and weddings. That order is kind of odd, to go people, places, miscellaneous, and then weddings, because maybe you don't really care about weddings. Order is really important when you're putting together your site. And I know we're talking about cover pages right here or landing pages, but now that I see that, I really want to tell you, if weddings, miscellaneous should probably be the last thing that you show them there. So let's see another cover page. So we've got this cover page right here that shows you music type of photo. I love that. These photos are huge and impressive right off the rip. You can see that this is the lifestyle section. Let me see, if I click there, does it take me to the lifestyle section? Please take me to the lifestyle section. Victory. I think this is the lifestyle section. It is, and it's highlighted right there. That is smart. But how do I get back to the cover page again? If I want to get back to the home page, it should have a button right here, and look at that. See that? It's still there. They have a white logo. If you're going to have a white logo, you have to make sure it shows up on your page. This is a complete fail because now we lost all the branding of what this logo says. It's there. It's just white on white. It's a white logo on a white background. That isn't very good. So I would either give it a highlight, I would put a stroke around it, I would come up with some kind of other logo design that allows you to jump into the site. Jump back if you want to jump back to the cover page. I love this cover page. I like how we have these different options here with the contact, the journal, and the prints. Now we have all of these social buttons. You have to ask yourself, do you need every one of these social buttons? Why do you have a Yelp social button? Is that just so that people could give you reviews? It's an option, but what are the main ones that should be used or could be used? Again, no definitives, but your Facebook is important. Your Instagram is important. Twitter, if you use Twitter, is important. If you're big, now Pinterest is a strong one. If you're a photographer and you want stuff shared on Pinterest and put onto people's boards, one of the best marketing things, and I know we're going to talk about marketing later, is that if people could share your stuff on different boards, it may lead to you getting more jobs if you're a wedding photographer or a portrait photographer. I would encourage the heck out of you to get your stuff Pinterest ready to share over there easily. And I think Squarespace has an option that you can turn that on so any photo can be done. But this may be overkill for social buttons, personally. Moving on to the next one, we've got Jean-David Godin, or Godin. I think it's French, something like that. My French isn't very good. But this is the landing page / cover page, and it's and right now he has it as about page. I wouldn't do this first. Unless you're describing a business or you're describing a charity or something, I wouldn't have the landing page be about you, especially if you're a photographer. I want you, a photographer, a videographer, a musician, I want your cover page to hit with your work. Your work is the most important thing. Yes, you're important, but if people like your work, they're going to click on your contact page to contact you to then, or your about page to find out more about you. Give them a reason to want to dig in for more. So that's why on the cover pages, I want to see photos. In this case, we have no photo. We just have this logo that I'm trying to click, and it's not clickable. To me, I want to enter the site. I want this graphic to be clickable. So here's the enter down here. It's hidden in the bottom right corner. You may miss it, but then it takes you into the site. I would consider doing a cover page for this person. Very similar to what this person did. I love this cover page, and I kind of want this to be my cover page. Make a note of that. I want to find out what template this is, because I think that would be great for mine. Now, with that said, why don't we jump in there and show you how the template could work, how different templates in Squarespace could work, how easy they are to do. This is mine. I really want the other guys, so I'm going to have to figure out which one it is and then do it. But let's click on this right here, because this says cover pages, coming soon. You have all these different options to make changes, but here you can hit change layout. You can either select all layouts, landing, profile, audio, video, location, Twitter. There are different options that Squarespace gives you inside of here to quickly select a different template that could work for you. So if I like this one, I could hit select. And by the way, my site is live on the internet right now. The changes I make could go live only if I hit the save button. So you can see how you can jump through to different options and go, oh, you know what? I like this as a cover page. Or I like this as a cover page. So you can see how easy it is to change. All the social buttons go there. My enter me button moves. And you can also change all of these different buttons. But let me hit cancel to go back just to show you real quick where you can make some changes on these buttons. I can hit edit action. Edit action means that I can have it go to where I want it to go. Right now I have it going to my mom's photo story. If you want to check out my site, you can go to jaredpolin.com. That can take you over there. But you can see that I could select any different place to go. And that's a cool thing. Or I could change it to this. I could have, gallery 1. And you can see that it pops up there. Or I can go to gallery 2. Whatever you want it to be. And then you can link these to where you want to go. You can just see how easy it is to make these changes. That's why I'll harp on it throughout this entire thing. Why I personally use Squarespace is for the ease factor. And I'll say it a million times. You can use whatever you want. You've got all those different free ones out there. You have other pay ones out there. I just use this personally and hope you guys do as well if you're looking to build your first site. I'm going to hit cancel right here. I'm going to go back and back again. And going to go to design, because you can change different things. Style editor. This is simple. I just want to show this real quick. Say I want this box to be a different color. I can select a different color. It's that simple to change it. I just like it being white. And I'm okay with it being there and interfering with my image, because I want people to know this is where you enter me. You enter me right here. That's why it says that, because I'm trying to make a point to go in there. So you can see how simple that is. Let's jump back into this person's. This is another good one. But I question the enter button's location, because it's just far off to the left-hand side. They have options where you can have it to the right side, you can have it in the center, and I know that they're probably thinking that if it's here on the left side, it's less of an issue than keeping it in the middle, which I can see with some of the images, but personal preference, just saying that I would rather see it right in the middle, especially for as you change the site, as you scroll the site, you see how this all happens? We'll talk about this later, but this is, what's this called, Noah, again, when you scroll a site? It's responsive. It's not parallax, it's responsive. Right, so the site's responsive. I'll talk about that more soon. Oh, here we go. Check this out. Let's see what happens when we load this guy's site. Loading. Do I hear something? We are forcing people to listen to music. I'm going to turn that off. Let me say something. The only people that should be having autoplay music maybe on a page, and this is a maybe, should be a musician. If you're a photographer, I don't want to hear music as I go through a website. I don't want it interfering with the website. I just hate auto-playing music, because I'm like, where the heck is this coming from? I highly recommend that you don't have auto-playing music on your site. I don't even think you should have music on your site unless you're a musician and you want to showcase your different stuff. Oh, with that being said, let's go into those templates real quick again. Right here. I want to go into a change a template. Is there a music one here? Audio. Okay, yes, this is what I'm talking about. Let me find a different template. We've got this, and then right here you can select different audio that you want, or we're going to select this cover page. Of course, with my background, it doesn't look good right now, but if you're a band and you put your band photo behind here and you tweak this just a little bit, you put your music in there, boom, you're letting people listen to your music right here on your page. I'm going to hit cancel again, but that is super simple and super easy. So my recommendation for this person, get rid of that music altogether, because again, unless you own the music, you can't put like the latest Lady Gaga song there. That's kind of stealing because you're not paying for it, so you shouldn't be doing it. So I want to show you something here on my site. This is my cover page. I'm going to go ahead and click enter. And you can see right here it has jaredpolin.com because my cover page is linked. So if I click this, it takes me back to the cover page. Now, that's taking away, there's no reason for somebody to really come back to the cover page in this case when they could hover over my logo, which would take them back to the cover page. And you might be saying, well, how do I get rid of this link? Well, right here, okay, let me go back. I should have been doing it here in the first place, but we're entering the site. We can see up here in Squarespace, these are the site, this is everything that is live currently online. Everything that is underneath says not linked won't show up on the web page. So you can build a page, not have it go live. In this case, I don't want this right down here to be live. So I'm going to switch it down here. I'm going to go boom. It's going to reload my page publicly. I'm going to go back into enter, and it's gone. It's no longer down there in the bottom, so people won't click it. Now, like this, guys, when we go inside of it, no, see, that was interesting. When I click this, it always takes us back to the home page. You could probably unlink this to not take you back here. Again, when you get on the inside, you may want it to take you back to the home because sometimes I look and I want to get back to that page. But that was just an example on my page, how I wanted to get rid of that link, and you could see how easy it was to just drag it and drop it. If I want it to be public, if I want to make a change, I could do that, but I don't have to. I don't have to have that linked, but it's still live. So cover pages, landing pages, I think I helped you out there. That's a bunch of different options and different considerations that you could have for cover pages, what I like, what I don't like. And it comes down to what feels best for you, what type of creative you are, where you want things to be, what is the message that you're trying to get across, and where you're directing people right off the rip. I direct people to a specific gallery. Some of these other options let you scroll through the images and then go to that specific gallery. I think I need to make a change to my site, which I'm absolutely going to do when I figure out which cover page template this person's using. I'm going to work on doing that for my own page to make it better. So I hope that gives you a bunch of information on what could be on your cover page and the direction you could take people. But that is a cover page option, and we're going to move on from there. So one of the more important pages on your website should be the About page. What's the information that you're going to put there? What kind of message are you trying to deliver to whoever is reading your page? These are things that you have to think about when you're putting together an About page. Also, where does the About page show up on your website? Because I've seen websites where the About page is first. I kind of think that the About page and contact and things like that should be the last thing that you see in a toolbar. I just feel that that's where they should be because I want the work to speak for itself before you start telling your story. But it is a place for you to tell your story depending on what type of creative you are. Are you a professional? If you're somebody who's looking to get a job, then you want to tell a story that's going to help you get a job. If you're an amateur who just loves showing your work, then there's nothing wrong with just saying, hey, I love shooting photos. I love what I do. Here, this page is for you to enjoy and take a look at the work that I have. It's really about where you put your message, and that's what the About page is for. And so let's dive into an About page right here. This is Andrew Wilson Photography. I'm going to zoom in because I'm blind, and I just want to read it. It says, I am a Liverpool-based photographer originally from North Wales. Taking photographs has been important to me since I got my first camera at the age of 17. Over time, I have developed my skills and approach to photography. So what I like about this right off the bat, we know that he's a Liverpool-based photographer. We know that he's originally from North Wales, so he covers multiple areas. One of the things you want to be careful about is that you're not pigeonholing yourself just to a specific location. I like to say I'm a Liverpool-based photographer. I originally started in Wales. I'm willing to travel around the world to capture different images. You know, just getting the messaging across there is important. I also like that he said I, because there's some websites where people are like, what's this guy's name? His name is Andrew Wilson. Andrew Wilson is originally from Liverpool. It's like, we know this is your website. You're not super important that you're writing about yourself in third person. I don't think third person works for most of the points. I also think it's more personal today. There's a personal reason and a touch that you have when you say, I am into this and I represent that. You know, I've seen a lot of different about pages, and you've got the ones that have the couples that are shooting weddings. If you're a wedding photographer and you photograph with your husband or your wife, I think it would be a good marketing idea to have a nice photo of both of you there and talking about your family on a personal level. We've been married for 20 years. Just somebody getting married, reading the fact that you've been married for 20 years, may put it in the back of their mind that they too can be married for 20 years. They have a 50-50 chance, but that's not the point. You're trying to book the job. So let's move on here and we'll get to more stuff. As well as shooting with a digital camera, I occasionally use my film camera, and I've learned how to process and develop my own photos in a darkroom environment, a very enjoyable process that is very different to digital photography. So we're starting to see a little bit now. Let me go back here. I want to go into a site and see. I guess we could figure out if he's trying to be a professional or more of an amateur here by just reading. I guess I should continue on. My portfolio showcases some of the best photographs I have taken in the past few years and the type of photos I enjoy taking most. Photos that hint at or tell a story. See, reading this really conveys a great message to me. I love what he's saying here. I'm available to photograph events such as weddings and special occasions. The Northern West is where I'm readily available, but I would be interested in working further afield. That's what I was saying earlier. It's good to do that. You put the option there. You don't pigeonhole yourself into just saying, I only shoot in this area, because somebody may be like, they're across the country, but if the price is right, you can go wherever you want to go. I also offer my photographs as prints for sale. Please feel free to contact me by filling in the form on this page. You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Flickr pages and see more of my photographs, and contact me through those pages too if you prefer. Thank you for taking the time to look at my site and my photography, and I hope to hear from you. See, that's great. He's calling out his social profiles. If you're calling out, whether you're, especially like you're a musician, you want people to share out your stuff and contact you in different places and become a follower there, you direct them there. I think this is a superb about page. You got a nice photo, looks like a film shot. Let me get back to full-size page here. And this is great. I really love what he's saying here. He's established himself that he got his first camera at 17. I don't know if he's a full-time professional or an amateur, but it is saying that he will shoot for money. He will take jobs. This page is really good. Then we got this about page. We'll skip talking about most of the website here. What I liked about this is the photo. More so than anything is the photo of this photographer. He's smiling. It shows him holding a camera. He looks like he's having a great time. It resonates well with somebody looking for a prospective photographer to hire, because they look happy, they look engaged. Like, you don't have to put a photo of yourself on the page, but I think you need to put something of you, maybe it's pictures of your cameras, pictures of something of you. Maybe it's not you, but it's something, you just have to be careful. I really think that there should be something on your about page about you. So the about photo could show your location. If you don't want to be in it, that's fine, but make sure there's a photo there that makes people happy. It makes them feel something good so that they would want to hire you. Maybe it's say you're a wedding photographer. Maybe it's a picture of your camera sitting on the ground with a wedding veil or wedding flowers. Even that's still about you, because it's a photo, even though you're not in it. But I think photos are a strong thing to have. Let's go through this. So this is Ash Westwood, who doesn't even have an about page. I've gone through the site and there's no about page. It's on the front page. I don't like that. I don't like that it's here and nowhere else to be found, because I don't think you should punch people in the face with the about page first. Like I've said before, it's about your photographs. And then we've got Michelle D Photography. So this is a pretty clean page, and she talks in first person. Let me see if anybody's talking in third person at all. Let's see. Maybe Ash was. Oh, yes. Ashley Ash Westwood is a published British-Australian photographer. He specializes in capturing moments in live music, gripping action in motorsports, and commercial-grade automotive portraits for various magazines across the nation. Come take a look. Like, I don't mind that, but hi, my name is Ash Westwood. I love to shoot X, Y, and Z. Really hope you take a look at my site and look at the images. Let me know if you have any questions. Enjoy. I don't really think this is your page. You don't need to third person it. So I'll say that, no third person. So I like to hear about your experience. It's nice to lay it out there. Now, if you're a student and you're just starting out, if you're looking to get the gigs, I'm not a big fan of like, I'm currently a student but looking to become a professional. You don't need to share that information. You can just talk about your love of photography because your age does not matter. If you're a videographer, your age doesn't matter. If you're a musician, all that matters is the work that you put out. That's what should speak volumes about what you do. So you're trying to convey the message on your site. Now let's see what else she has here. She has my journey. I like to see the journey. It makes you think back, oh, what a cool journey. My experience, okay, we don't need to see there. I like that she wrote what she had. Now that could be a tear sheet page if you want. I'm the house photographer so-and-so, and then my gear. Some people fixate on the gear a photographer uses. I get it. Today's access to photography equipment is easier, blah, blah, blah. And then she's listing, but just in case you really, really want to know, here are the cameras I shoot with. I am not a fan of listing the gear that, does that say Lytro? Oh my God, it has a Lytro on there. Oh boy, I didn't even notice that earlier. I don't think anybody would shoot with that, but I guess she is. And that's why it says still experimenting. I don't think this is a place where you put gear. The reason is your gear shouldn't matter. It's the photos that matter. You could have the most expensive cameras and glass and lenses in the world. You could have, you could have that and still not get great images. You let the images speak for themselves, and if somebody asked you, hey, do you have professional gear? Do you have backups for the weddings that you're going to be coming and shooting? Then you can answer that question. But if you really want to have gear on your page, there is a place you could hide it. You could make it a part of your blog. And how do you make it part of your blog subtly so that you're not punching people in the face with it, is that you can talk about a photo shoot that you did and the gear that you took along with you to make that image. That's a way that you could hide it in a blog and people can still see what you're using without saying, here's the gear that I use. You're also possibly advertising for people to come and steal your stuff. If you put your address on your website and you're listing all of this fancy gear, you're saying, hi, follow me on social media, know when I'm not home to come knock on my door and then break it down and take my stuff. So I'm not a big fan of putting that there. Also on this About page, it talks about pricing. Let's see. It's a common question, how much do you charge? But it's not an easy question to answer because one price does not fit all. When you contact me regarding your photography needs, we'll talk about it. I like this, but I don't like this. I don't like that her name, her email is not linkable and clickable to launch an email or to take you to the contact page to send a message. That's something that you want to make sure that you have right on your page, is that you have the hyperlink there so that somebody could contact you right away. They don't have to copy and paste this somewhere else. Now, pricing, being that it's mentioned here, I'm not a fan of putting pricing public. You can do, if you're shooting weddings, it could say starting at. If you're shooting portraits, it could be starting at. Anything could say starting at, but when you pigeonhole yourself into pricing, you're not giving people the ability, and this is the marketing angle here, is you're not giving them the ability to then email you to inquire. You can make a better sale one-on-one than somebody's going to try to sell themselves on, oh, well, that's $3,000. I can't afford that. Well, maybe you could have worked something out with them. So pricing on a page, I know I'm digressing a little bit, shouldn't be there, in my opinion. And one more thing, we're going to jump over to a couple of my pages. Now, I've got two of them built here. This is who I am. Remember we talked about the Pinterest thing earlier? Having that Pinterest thing on Squarespace pop up and make you post that on Pinterest is great because we know that a lot of people use Pinterest, especially for weddings, to get ideas about photos and dresses. And if they're finding your photo and your website, that's a chance for you to get a job. Same thing with music if they're going to post that as well. So this is one example. It's just plain. We've got a nice image of me. I like it. It's me. We have a paragraph here. I'll show you I have a second page that was built as an example. You see I have a mailing list. That could be also a place for contact. My name is there. But I want to show you something here. It says my goal every time I go out to shoot. Oh, I need to reload this. Hold on. The reason I want to reload this, and I'll go over here to do that, it says my name is Jared Polin. For the last 20 years, I have been capturing images. I want to make a change to that. As you saw on the other page, I didn't have that there. And the reason is that I don't know that the 20 years of experience is a sales pitch there, a sales point. Maybe personally, if somebody asks me how long have you been shooting, I can let them know. But I want my story to be told. And so me saying my name is Jared Polin, we know my name is Jared Polin. It's already on the site. It's right everywhere that you need it to be. So if I wanted to quickly change this, and I am on Squarespace here, I just double clicked, and I want to get rid of this and have it go live. Boom. Make sure that everything is set right. I hit save, and now that change was made in line. I didn't have to do anything. It's called a WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. That's what these pages are all about. That's what these easy website builders are for, so that you can drag and drop and let the websites do the coding and do all of the extra stuff that you know nothing about. I know nothing, Jon Snow, about how to do coding. I know nothing. Well, I know just a little bit, but I would never code my own. So that's what a WYSIWYG does. And is it the best thing? No. There's pros, there's cons, there's some things that you wish you could do that you just can't. But if you are a coder, there's a thing called code injection that you can inject into the Squarespace sites to make your site even better. But I don't want to digress too far down there. That, we've talked about what goes on the About page. You can read jaredpolin.com/about to see what I have written. I think it's important that you tell your story. You convey your message. You talk about what you want to talk about on the page that makes people want to know more and want to contact you and feel good. That's why a good image is important. That's why getting the information out, where you're located, what you love to shoot, who you like. If you shoot with a family member, I love seeing the husband and wives shoot together. That is definitely a cool sales pitch. So that's that for the About page. We're going to roll into something else in just a second. So that's About pages. So people have read all about you in your About page, but what about if they want to contact you? Your contact page is extremely important to have on your site. Well, what information should be there at the very least to make sure that people contact you? Now, having a page that's separate, you could have your About page /contact together, because if they read about you and they want to contact you, you could do that. I personally have a contact page that's separate, but let's dive into some other ones that people have right here. So we've got, oh, look at that. Justin Lawrence lists their phone number and address right up here in the menu bar. Not a menu bar, that's a hello bar that you can add on Squarespace that pops down from the top. So at any point, let me see if I scroll back, will it be up there? Yep, still up there. So let's go back to the contact page. So we're going to go ahead and do that. On his page, he's got name. So he's asking for the first name, last name. I just think it's all right if you ask for a name. Could be first name, last name, that's perfectly fine. You can see that it has an asterisk there. That means you must use it. And it has an email address here. You have to ask for people's email addresses because you need to know how to get in touch with them. Because with the contact form, this is generating, so this is one of those things. If you make your email public on a website, it's possible that a crawler on the internet could find it and start spamming you with to that email address. So a contact page makes people fill it out, and then Squarespace or whatever you're using for the contact form will then send it to where you designated it to go through email. So here it asks for phone number and messages. Like, of course they're going to put a message there, but it's not mandatory. Actually, a message should probably be mandatory, because if you just have their name and email address, you don't know why they're contacting you. So on this page, there's a couple of ways to be contacted. You've got your email, you've got your phone number, you also have your mailing address, which is kind of questionable to have on the site. I don't know that that's important unless this is physically a location of an office or a P.O. box. I really don't think it's necessary, especially for a photographer or a videographer, to have your mailing address there, unless people are mailing. If they're going to mail you a check, you're going to tell them to mail you a check and where to mail it to. So that's something that I would maybe take off of a contact page. You also have the phone number. People are going to call you. Are you going to answer the phone professionally? I know that depending on my mood, I'm going to answer the phone one way or another, either happy that somebody's calling me or not so happy that I'm being interrupted. So what number are you calling? Like, is it a separate number that comes in that you always know that it's a business call? Because the last thing is like, hello, and people are like, did I reach the right number? So that's the thing. Are you going to answer the phone the same way each time? That's something to keep in mind. Other ways to do it, they submit it. Like, let's go to mine real quick. Basic information, I want the subject, I want the message, I want their email, and I want their name. I make them do that. They hit submit. I don't have my phone number on here because I don't want people calling me. I want them to contact me first, and then I can talk to them. Most of the time, people are more willing to send you an email first, and from the email, I then try to get them on the phone to help them with whatever question that they may need answered. I also have a dedicated button down here for contact, which you can see would launch. If I clicked it, it would launch the email program that somebody has to allow them to send me a message through my email. That's an option to have. I have both on my site. They can use the form or they can use the other button. Whatever way they contact me is all I care about. That is all that matters, is that they get in touch with me. Then we have this as a sample page. We can see that this is, what does it say, Salty Spirit Photography. It's built on a SmugMug site. If you're going to use a free site like SmugMug or Squarespace, you have the ability, when you do pay for the Squarespace, to turn off the logo. I don't want to advertise them on my site. I don't want SmugMug being the first thing that I see on somebody's site if I'm going to pay them, even if it's free. I mean, that's why I not to make it a sales pitchy part, but the Squarespaces are $8 a month when you sign up for an entire year, and that will lead me into something else in a second. Squarespace.com/Fro. Use my code, please. That helps me out. But on this page, there is no contact. All you have here is a phone number. A phone number. People want to contact you. They want to contact you, so give them an email. Give them social buttons. That's what's important here, too, is there's a different way you can get in touch with Justin right here is through all of these social buttons. Now, do we see how it's JUSPhoto.com? That matches his domain name. Remember those AOL and AIM addresses that are free? It's not very professional to have one of those and be like, Jared Polin at Gmail. No, I have that one. I even think the Gmail is becoming less and less important these days. It's perceived as more professional than Jared Polin at AOL.com. The last thing I want to see on a professional website is at AOL.com. My personal choice, my personal preference is not to have that. Now, just like this guy has, he's got Justin. JUSPhoto.com, that is his domain name. So then he can have his own email address that way. Now, this is something that Squarespace lets you do. If you sign up for a year, they give you a free domain name. So jaredpolin.com, I could have bought it through them when I signed up for a year. It's going to save me $13.99 or $12.99 at the time, but it also allows you to own your name. It allows you to own your @soandso.com so that your email and the branding goes from everything that you have, from your logo to the web address to your email, so that people can use you. Now, if you want to just use a free email, Gmail is still the way to go. It's still perceived as being okay and professional to use. Just be careful. I don't think Yahoo looks good. I don't think at AOL or AIM looks good, or going all the way back to lycos.net. I don't even know if those work anymore. But the main point here is that people can get in touch with you, and these are the ways you can do it. Social media, you can put a phone number there if you really want people to contact you. You can put a mailing address, though I don't know why you would have a mailing address there unless they're trying to find, unless you're a business and you have a location that is open for business, then you would want to have your mailing address, because then people would be able to find you and show up there. So if you're making an e-commerce site for a store, you can say physical location, then you could do that. I know I've talked a lot about the photography aspect of it, but in the business aspect of it, you could make sure that you have your address there. Definitely try not to do what this person did, aka make this a JPEG or a graphic or something that is how to contact them. Have a contact page. Pretty simple to do. Squarespace makes it easy to have a contact page. I didn't even dive in here to show it to you. So let me go to Pages, find where my contact is, right here. I go in here, I can simply edit it. Settings, I can make changes. I can have all the different things that I want right here. This is it. I can do this like this. What else do we have? Edit. You can pick and choose different things that you want to put on your page. And that's it. Look at this. Name, email address, subject line. Say I don't want the subject line. Or let's add something and then take it away. Well, why would they want my website? Like, why would my website want to be down here? Oh, well, maybe somebody wants to submit something, a link. Ah, there we go. So if I want people to submit something to me, if you're saying submit a headshot, submit something, a link to it, you could ask for it right there. That's pretty cool. I didn't even know that. Well, I knew it was there, but now if I want to get rid of it, I don't want it anymore, I can hit the trash can to confirm, and it's gone. That's why I absolutely love using this WYSIWYG type of thing with Squarespace, because it's there. It's easy to do. It's quick to do. You don't need to know very much. And that's it for the contact page. We're going to roll out of this into something else right now. So you've been seeing me use Squarespace a lot throughout this guide so far, and I want to let you know that if you're looking to build your own website, or you currently have a website but you want to try out Squarespace to see if it works for you, go to squarespace.com/fro to get a 14-day free trial, and it is free. There is no credit card needed, which means if you don't like it, just let it run out and you won't be charged anything. But if you do like it, you can go ahead and use the code FRO at checkout to get 10% off your entire year right then and there. So go ahead, check it out, squarespace.com/fro. Your website is meant to display the message that you want to get across. If you're a photography website, the images that you choose are the most important thing to showcase on your site. If you're a musician, music, videos, photos, those things are important. You want to make sure you're picking the best of the best of the best with honors, sir, to make sure that the message you're getting out there is the right message. You don't want to try to put well, of course, you don't want to put bad photos on your website, but you want to pick the best photos. You don't want to try. Here's a tip for portfolios. When you're building a portfolio, and we'll talk about how many images go in those things in a couple of minutes, but when you're building a portfolio and you're looking at images and you go, well, where could I hide this image? You know, every image should be able to stand on its own as being the best of the best in your portfolio. If you say to yourself, I want to put this fifth because I don't want it first and I don't want it last, I don't think it, then it means it's not good enough. It means that that photo isn't the right choice, and you should be all right to getting rid of it. You also don't want to put too many photos on your site in too many different galleries that could just become overwhelming. That's something that you want to be careful about, because if you put too much out there and somebody says, hey, I'd like to see some other work, you may not have anything else to show them, which may make you look more amateurish. Also, how you organize your portfolio or galleries is highly important on your website. It's part of that flow. It's part of which gallery do you want them to see first? How many images go in that gallery? Where should they go after that? And if you have 17 different galleries on your site, it may be overwhelming and people may not go any further. But then I've got questions like, should it have watermarks? What layout works the best? So why don't we jump in here and show you some examples right off the bat. So here we have Jonathan's website. He's got a bunch of different things under portfolio. So we click on portfolio, we've got engagements. And we know that if we click here, it's going to take us to a gallery of engagements. Now, how does he have it set up here? Oh, he has them loading down here to go through. Oh, there's the arrow. I could click on this arrow and it will also show me other engagement photos. So I don't, oh, and more of them are loading. I guess my computer's just going a little slow right now. So I'm just cycling through. If I hit the arrow, does it cycle through? Yeah, I hit the keyboard and it's also cycling through. Do we see how these images are large right here? They're large. It's clean. It's on a white backdrop. Now, I'm a big fan of clean white sites, especially for weddings, because people like white when it comes to weddings. Now, if you're doing gore photos or you're doing something that has a darker feel, then maybe you want to try to do a darker type site. That's up to you. Me personally, feel that the sites are better when they're cleaner for photographers. It allows your image to stand out. It just makes you feel calmer. Sometimes people will have weird backgrounds on sites that are different colors now, and I just think that's old. It's amateurish. It doesn't work. But I love this gallery. I love that I can just sit here. Hey, Jonathan, why do you have a watermark on your image? There was one image in here with a watermark. Why? Well, I'm not a big fan of watermarks at all. Do not have watermarks on your images. This is your website. Are you worried about people stealing your images? you shouldn't be. I would not be afraid. I'm not afraid to put up my images here and turn off right-clicking. Basically, what does that mean? That means that you could right-click and it would say, this image is copywritten. Basically, you're telling somebody that you're calling them on trying to steal your image when maybe they're not actually trying to steal your image. They just want to show it to somebody or send a link to it. I'm not a big fan of locking your site up like that. I also think your work should be shown big, beautiful, and let people just see it. But also, do not have a watermark on it. Speaking of watermarks, we've got this right here. Let's talk about this. Your photos do not need watermarks. I repeat, do not need watermarks on your own website. I don't even think they need watermarks anywhere else. That's my personal opinion. Tagging on Facebook is one thing, and Instagram, that's a way that they could find you. I just think watermarks take away from the image, especially on your site. They're on your site, so they already know it's yours. Don't put a watermark there. I do not worry about people stealing it. And if they take it, so be it. So what? It is what it is. But let's talk about this person's gallery. Where did we get? This is under portraits. So you can see their flow here. They have different options. They have weddings, portraits, and boudoir. That's a way that you could separate your galleries. Those three distinct things are great. They're unique, they're distinct, and you can go in there. But let's start scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. There are way too many images under portraits here. If you want to make a change to this, how could you make it better? Yes, these images are great, but having 50, 60 images on a page is overkill. I like 15 to 20. And there are some times that maybe I want a longer story and I may put 40 there. I don't know if it's right and I don't know if it's wrong. If people want to keep watching it or looking at it, they're going to do that. But in this case, we've got weddings. You could break this down into separate weddings, or you could break it down into formal versus the party versus engagements like what Jonathan did, and so that you could make weddings a drop-down menu and you can have multiple galleries there of 10, 15 images. You could have the getting ready photos. You could have the party photos. You could have the actual wedding itself. There's a lot of different options, and the flow that you put people through your site is really important to keep them engaged, and I just think all of these photos, there's just way too many photos. And how do I cycle to the next one? There's an arrow. It popped up, so that's a good thing. You want to pick your best of the best of the best with honors, sir. Let's go to RM's website. We click on Portfolio, and this is it. There are only 5 or 6 images here, and I'm pretty sure that they're an amateur photographer, which is perfectly fine. This showcases the image as well, but there's so many, there's images on here that just don't make sense. Like they should be in separate portfolios, separate galleries to showcase that type of work. So that takes us right back to the beginning. That's a suggestion there. And then you've got this site. I'm not sure what this one is built off of. This may be a custom site or it's a smug mug. I'm not really sure. So what I feel on this site is I think that when I click on this, it's going to launch a different gallery. But I'm wrong. It just launches that photo and pops it up. And you see this is a darker site. I'm not a fan of the darker site. This isn't bad, the charcoal, I get it, but it just feels more amateurish the way that these circles look. And they also feel like they're galleries. They don't feel like that they should be individual photos, but they are. The cycling through, perfectly fine. The images look good. They're framed by a white frame, which makes it pop a little more off the background that's black, but I don't like this for showcasing a gallery. I really don't like that at all. Let me see what happens when I click on Portfolio. And even that's different. It's the same images, isn't it? Or it's pretty similar to the images. It's all right. Let's go back to home. Yeah, home, it's just part of the layout is what you have to figure out is where are your images going? Where are people going to look for them? And this just doesn't work. Yeah, the same images are on the other side, the portfolio. So you have to say, why would we have the same images in multiple places? You have to decide that. Should multiple images, the same image show up in multiple places? Probably not, unless it's part of you have photo stories and then you pick your best of the best and put that in a separate gallery. That could be something that you do there. What else do we have here? I love this, except for the watermark. We don't need copyright your name on the website. This is your website. I love this gallery. I love how it cycles through. I can hit the arrow, or I could hit the keyboard and it will move. this is a great way to showcase your work, but I also like being able to see all the images that I'm going to look at. And there is no way to do that, so I don't know how many images there are here. I don't know when's it going to stop, or are there more. With that also said, looking at this page, we see the same model, multiple shots in a row. That's kind of a no-no in my opinion, unless it's a story just about that particular model. In your portfolios, you want to put your best work, but you also don't want to have, say, 6 images of one person and then 6 separate images of 6 different people, because it's just like, well, do you actually do multiple jobs? I think that's what it's trying to show you, and be careful about putting the same person in multiple images, unless you put up 3 images of the same person, followed by 3 images of another person, followed by 3 images of another person or another scene. That, I think, could work. And then we've got this website right here. I'm just going to go back to the beginning of it. What the hell is that? Stop it. Where is it? Get out of here, noise. Why, oh why, do you have music auto-playing that is that bad? That is just such a distraction. I don't want that. What happens if somebody has their speakers on really loud and they encounter that? They're going to be thrown right off. Another thing, why are we showcasing images with an overlay that's, well, I can barely read it. I can barely read it. The gallery's fine, but let's go through here. I'm also going to come up to an image at some point that's not in focus, which a lot of these don't seem to be in focus. But why do we have this text across the screen? This is not how you should be showcasing your work. Not at all. This needs a lot of work. Like I said, it's about picking your best images. Let's jump over to my site real quick just to show you a different example of how I have it set up. I've got my portfolio set up like this, where they're personal photo stories. And then when you hover over it, it shows you options to go into different photo stories. They're specific stories of images that I want to tell, and they're in these galleries. Pretty simple. I like this. But you don't want to have, say, 17 different photo stories in here. You may need to edit down what you're showcasing and what your best work is that you want to put out there. Because if you start putting too much, again, you're going to scare people away. So, you have to showcase your work. You have to make sure it's big, vibrant. You're putting up the right images. Is it out of focus for a reason? If it's out of focus, get rid of it. It shouldn't be here representing you or your brand. That's highly important. So we've talked a lot about different types of galleries and different ways that you could show it. And I think it's important for me to show you how to build a gallery. And that's what I'm going to do right now here in Squarespace. Now I'm going to use my site, which is currently live on the internet, and I'm going to go into the back end of Squarespace to show you how easy it is to put a gallery up here when you need to put a new one. I'm going to go ahead and hit the plus arrow, click on gallery. It's going to create a gallery for me, basically a gallery page. We'll worry about naming it in just a second. I simply click on it, and this box says, this collection is empty. Click here to add your first items. I'm going to go ahead and select images that I've already exported out of Lightroom. I am going to go ahead and select them all and hit open, and then have it start to load onto the back end of Squarespace. So what it's doing is it's saving it, it's uploading it, and it's resizing it. Now, you may want to know what is the proper size to export your images at, and honestly, I had to do this myself right before making this video. I went to squarespace.com/help, and I typed in image size, and this is so powerful here. I didn't spell image wrong? I did. Image size. There we go, I spelled it wrong. And right here you have formatting your images for display on the web. And they have videos. So what is so cool about Squarespace is not only do they have 24/7 customer support that will answer you pretty quickly, but they have such a large database of text and video that will help you figure out how to build your site if you run into a brick wall. So let's scroll down here and you can see what happens if I upload an image. When you upload an image, Squarespace creates up to 7 versions of the image, each with a different width. These widths are, so 2500. I exported at 2500. Now, I recommend if you're going to do it out of Lightroom, maybe you don't make the DPI 300 DPI, and maybe don't do it at 100 resolution. Pull that back a little bit, because this stuff has to load on people's websites. But, so we've got everything loaded over here, right here. right here we have a gallery. You can see that we're going through the images, and there may be too many images or I want to get rid of them. So let's see, let's find an image that I don't like. Okay, I don't want this image in here, so what am I going to do? I don't know. I clicked on it, and there's the trash can. Goodbye, image, and it's gone. Others, yeah, I've got too many that look the same right here. Don't like it. But what else do I want to do? If I don't want this in, I don't like this order. I'm going to go ahead and move an image around. Let's see what we can do right here. We can name the gallery, name it right here. Let's call it Las Vegas. And we're going to go ahead and hit save. And now it's going to go under there. But order, you can just move stuff around. It is super simple to do this. And it propagates automatically for you. Boom, done. So let's go back to pages. Oh snap, something went wrong. Let's reload. All right, let's go back to pages. And here we have it right here on the site. Now, I'm going to bring up my website right now live to see what happened. And we're going to go to hit enter me. And Las Vegas is right here. It's sitting all by itself. And I don't want it to sit all by itself right here. So I'm going to go here, and it's a photo story about Las Vegas. That's going to go under personal photo story. I literally just drag and drop it wherever I want it to show up in there. And then I hover under personal stories, and there is Las Vegas. Do you see how simple and easy it is to create a gallery in a matter of 20, 30 seconds? Once you have everything exported, you upload it, you put it in the order that you want, and you put it live. It is pretty darn simple. But what is also cool on Squarespace here is you see these buttons, you see these buttons right here? What is cool about it is that I can preview it. This is what it would look like on a tablet. If I want to see what my website's going to look like on a phone, I can preview it just like this. How cool is that, that you can preview it right here, right now, just like that? So that is an awesome thing. But another cool thing to remember with websites, no matter where you have one built or whatever service that you use, you want it to be responsive. Responsive means that no matter what size somebody's screen is, that your site is going to configure to the size of the screen, whether it's a phone, a tablet, a screen like this, or a 27-inch iMac. You want to make sure that it's going to look good on each of those sites or on those devices. But what's cool is Squarespace on the back end told us that they resized the image 7 different ways. That's so that it could load much quicker when you go to a site. So what does responsive mean? Let's go back to my website. And it's loaded. We're going to go into a gallery because this is going to show you really well. Let's go into the new one we just made. We've got Las Vegas. What responsive means is that I am able, you see this? You see how the site is configuring itself based off of the size of the screen that I'm using? Look at this. And it even moves all the menu items right to here. That is a win right there. Why is this important? Because you don't know what size screen somebody's using, and this means it's going to make your website look great no matter what it's being viewed on. Now let's look at one that isn't responsive. So what is happening here is when we click and move it, nothing is configuring. So you have to sit here and scroll through the website like this. It's not automatically happening. So that's what responsive websites are doing. So no matter what I do, you've got a responsive site. No matter what size I make it, it's going to be responsive, and that's really important. So, guys, that's how simple it is to make a gallery and put it where you want to put it, and that's why you have a responsive site as well. And if you ever run into issues and you're using Squarespace, just use squarespace.com/help or email their customer service, and they will get back to you quickly. But having a database of all of this stuff is so good. It makes it so easy, and that's it. We're moving on. So whereas a gallery and a portfolio can show your story, a blog is where you can talk about your story. It's also a way that you can dive in deeper and share more work and more experiences about what you're doing to get your message across. Blogs are extremely powerful for multiple reasons. One, I just said that you can showcase more work, but you can share more personal stories. And I like to see websites that have blogs on them. When it comes to a photo website or even with bands and musicians, I like to hear about their day, about what's going on. I want to hear that. And I think people love seeing that in blogs, the behind the scenes of the music video that they were doing. Maybe they show the final music video, but on their blog, they talk about everything else that they're doing. Or as a photographer, it's a great way to try to hide talking about what gear you have, because you could post a picture and then talk about the gear, then say, this is the gear that I used on this photo shoot. So for example, I think it is right here, this person's blog, it talks about what they shot the photo with, and it's just an easy way to say, all right, I have professional gear, or this is what I shot it with. Now, you don't always have to do that. It is just one recommendation that you can have. But on this guy's site, Travel Log, he calls it Travel Log. The first thing we see here is a new gallery series left. And as we scroll down, we see text explaining what's going on. And then a product review. As you keep scrolling, I will have to point out that there are no page breaks. This is one long run-on sentence. I'm not sure why that's happening there, but you want to make sure that when you're going through your blog, that your text is done right. It's formatted right. As you keep scrolling, these photos are tremendous. You get a feel for somebody through their work. And I'm seeing this guy's travel work, and it makes me want to get on the road and travel and capture those images. Or if I was to see somebody's wedding photos and see, if you're a wedding photographer or a portrait photographer, it's great to showcase your best of the best in your galleries. But then when it comes to your blog, it's going to be really important that if you had a wedding, say on Saturday, that you do so-and-so's wedding and you put up a couple of keepers from that day and share the story. You know, it was a beautiful day. The bride was dressed nicely, which I hope she was dressed nicely because it's a wedding. But just talk about the experience. I enjoyed working with this couple. They were so amazing to work with. It really helped me get awesome shots just like these. So putting the text there is important, and in a minute we're going to talk about why text is even more important on your blog, but I want to talk about consistency. When you're doing a blog, if you make the decision to do a blog, you have to keep it up to date. So for example, this website says that it was last updated September 27th, 2015. This is being done in March 2016. That is a long time to have a blog not updated. At that point, you're better off getting rid of the blog on your page completely. If you're not going to keep it up to date, get rid of it because it looks bad. It makes it seem like you're not doing any work. And if you're trying to get a job and somebody comes to your page and it hasn't been updated in 4 months, I would think that you're not doing any work. So it's a commitment that if you're going to do a blog, that you keep it up to date. Suggestions for how many a week, a month? I don't think one a month is going to cut it. At the very minimum, once a week. And let me just explain how easy it can be to do this. If you're out there shooting and you do multiple photo shoots, it's easy to do something like the photo of the day. So every Wednesday you put up the photo of the day. It's a photo that or the photo of the week where you explain the story behind that image and you share that with people. And what's going to happen is prospective clients are going to take interest to the blog posts that you're doing. They're going to come back more and they're going to want to see what you're doing next week. And that is also a great way to share that on your Facebook or to put the same thing on your Facebook and then link back to your website and say, hey, why don't you follow me over on here because I have a blog that I update. And you may be saying, Jared, where's the blog on jaredpolin.com? And the truth of the matter is, I don't have one there because I'm not pushing anything on that site other than the images. But I do have FroKnowsPhoto.com, and that acts as, in essence, my blog, which is updated multiple times a week. So that is highly important. So with this, I love the formatting of this person's blog. I love the text that's there. I like that it just makes you feel like you want to be there. And this is one of the newer photographers' work, but I love seeing what's going on here. I will say, I think there's too many images in this story after a while, so you want to try to limit how many images are in there, but it's still the images are great. It could supplement a gallery, or it could lead back to another gallery, but this is formatted really well, so very nice job with that. You don't have to write that much, but with that being said, we've got SEO. You hear a lot about SEO, which is called search engine optimization. That's so something like Google can scour the internet and rank your keywords and searches so that people that are searching for something can find you. And so that's where writing more blog posts can be very beneficial to you. So what is SEO for writing an article? Let's take a wedding photographer, for example, and you want to get more people to find your site. That's what SEO is all about. It's all about getting people to find you organically, so you're not spending a lot of money to bring people to your site. Now, there are companies that will try to sell you on SEO and how to rank higher on Google. I don't think you should pay for them. I think you should try it organically first by writing articles. Let's say you're in Bucks County. You're in Bucks County and you're a wedding photographer, and you want to get more jobs in and around Bucks County, the Philadelphia area, the tri-state area. Start writing articles and blogs on your page about the top 5 places to get married in Bucks County. Right there, what SEO is doing is if anybody searches getting married in Bucks County, it's possible that you're going to match those search terms that somebody's looking for, and you're going to rank higher on the Google search, which means you have a better chance at getting a job. We all want to be seen on the internet, and this is one of the ways with SEO, and this is the organic way of doing SEO so that people can find you. I would make sure I would hammer home on your city, wherever you are, the city, the state, the area that you want to be known for, and that's what you start writing articles about. And I will get more on this in marketing, but it's important for me to talk about it right now. You're a wedding photographer in Bucks County, 5 best places to get married in Bucks County. 5 best places to buy wedding dresses in Bucks County. Top 3 cakes for having at your wedding when you get married. Or flowers for your wedding. My favorite is questions to ask a photographer that you're thinking of hiring when you get married. A lot of that. Does that make sense? What I'm trying to say is think about what a client would search or a customer would search when they're trying to find you. So you're trying to hit all of those important keywords and those key terms, because that's what Google searches for, and that's what SEO is all about. They scour your site to make sure that it's easier to find. So that's that. But let's go into the back end of Squarespace, because it can go even further to make sure that people find your stuff. Right here under, I believe it's under Settings, and then Marketing, you have an SEO button or an SEO menu system. Right here, it's telling you to put search engine description. Put in keywords that you want people to find. So for example, you're that Bucks County wedding photographer, put in Bucks County wedding photographer. Okay, tri-state area wedding photographer, Philadelphia wedding photographer, weddings, how to take pictures. Just think of these terms that are highly searchable that people may find, or that they may search so that they can better find you. It's, I get a lot of people, you see a lot of emails where they're like, get ranked #1 on Google, and you have to pay these guys a ton of money to do it. All that you're doing is creating these pertinent articles on your site that's going to help bring people to you organically, which means you don't have to pay for it. Being organic is what you want to do. And even going beyond that, if you want to start making some videos and throwing them on YouTube, that's going to help people discover you and find you on your website. It also helps with SEO as well. So to wrap this up, if you're going to do blogging, make sure that you keep it up to date. If you're not going to keep it up to date, then don't have a section on blogs at all. Just like this webpage has, it hasn't been updated since September of 2015. It should go. It puts a bad taste in somebody's mouth who's coming to your site. It just makes it seem like you haven't done any work. It's not that hard to keep up to date. It's really important to do so, and you will start to get people to follow you, for one, because they're going to come back for more because they want to follow your story, and 2, it's going to help when people are searching you out on Google or whatever search engine is out there, and that is really what I have to say about blogging. So if you're going to do it, make sure it's up to date and hit those keywords. Hit them pretty hard right there on your site. All right, guys, don't forget, if you like Squarespace or want to try it out yourself, go to squarespace.com/fro to get your 14-day free trial going right now. And if you decide that it's for you, use the code FRO at checkout to get 10% off your entire order. So I just talked about how important it is to make a blog, how easy it is to get some SEO going on your website. But I figured I'd jump in here on Squarespace and show you how easy it is to get a blog started, because I already said that I don't have one on jaredpolin.com, but it's pretty darn simple. I'm going to go into the back end again, going to go to the navigation, I'm going to click on the plus button, and look at that. There's something that says blog. I go ahead and click that. We can call it BLOG. You can call it whatever you want. It doesn't matter. In this case, we're going to call it blog. And I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And you can see that it's empty. Now, it's going to take some time to propagate it, but it's real easy to hit add post. And there we go. I fill in everything right here. I can put pictures in here. I could put text in here. Or here's a really good example, is if you do weddings or you do any type of photography, or anything for that matter, getting testimonials. That's an easy blog post that you can make. And so you can see how easy it is to do this. You can put comments on there. You can put tags and keywords in there, making sure that you put the metadata or the SEO type words in the tags and categories of your blog post is highly important, because I didn't touch on that last section because we talked about the theories and mentalities behind it. But now that you see the back end here, you see how it says tags right there. We're going to do Bucks County Weddings. Bucks County Weddings. Oop, need to put a G in there. And probably, oh, look at that. It adds the tag. And I can put in weddings, photography, getting married, all this stuff. Getting divorced, whatever you want to put in there. But you get the point. You are filling the SEO, the things that people are going to search for. Now, a good tip is don't over tag. Make sure it's relevant, because you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to spam the system. But then you're going to make sure you hit the keywords in here. There's a whole bunch of different options that you can have. You can add an image. You can give it a certain URL. You can make so many changes in here. But what is also important is that you can set these things to go live on their own. Say you're going to sit down on a Sunday and prepare the next week's worth of posts. You can sit down and you can time the posts to release at a certain point. So if you want something to come out Monday at 5:30 p.m., you can set it to Monday at 5:30 p.m. So you can do all the work on your blog beforehand and then get it to go up even if you're not around. That's really important, and this is so easy to do. You could save it as a draft, or you can save it and publish it. In this case, I'm just going to hit cancel and discard the changes that I made because I haven't set it up yet, but you can see how easy it is right here to just create another blog by hitting the plus, and you'll see that it shows up right down below. We'll call this Monday, and Monday, and we could hit save. We're not publishing it. We can hit the thing again, and we can call it Friday, because every day is Friday. And you can see on the left-hand side, you've got all these different posts, and they'll start to show up right here on your website. So it's so easy with Squarespace. That's why I keep recommending it. And if I don't like my blog, or I want to put it somewhere, I can move it. And if I don't like it, I can delete it. Or here's a really good tip on Squarespace. If you're not going to be updating it for a certain amount of time, for whatever reason, and you don't want it to be linked live, you can just drag it down here to not linked. And now it will not show up on your website. It won't show up here in the toolbar, so nobody can find it by accident. So if you could work on building it and propagating it with information before you even put it live, and then put it live so that you have a ton of information already there. That's pretty simple. That's creating a blog inside of your Squarespace site, and that's it. We're moving on. Here's my favorite section. It's marketing and branding. This is really important to your website and really important to you getting jobs or more jobs. Now, if your site isn't branded or marketed at all, it's going to be hard for people to, one, find you, and two, want to hire you. Now, I want to take you back to 2001 to 2006 or 7 when I had a website built by an agency, because at that time there really weren't good WYSIWYG type of editors out there, and I thought my site was good. And I knew my photos were really good, and I'm like, why am I not getting more jobs? Well, the thing is, people aren't going to walk out of a cornfield and just find your website. You can't just build it and expect them to come. You have to get them to your website. You have to get them interested in what you're doing in order to discover your site, your work, and then that's going to lead to jobs. Marketing and branding is paramount to what you're doing. Whether you're a full-time professional, whether you're a musician, whether you're a videographer, a photographer, even if you're a hobbyist, you wouldn't be building a website as a hobbyist if you didn't want people to see your work. So if you want people to see your work, you have to hammer home the marketing and branding aspect. Now, when I started to put up videos on jaredpolin.com, this is before FroKnowsPhoto was even a thing. Probably about a year before that, I started to make some videos and put them on YouTube. And I saw my hits go from 20 hits a day to 700-800 hits a day to my website. Now, I wasn't prepared yet for what was going to happen when I went all in. I didn't have the ability to keep up with it, so I wasn't able to keep up with it, but I got a taste of what it's like to market yourself. When you put yourself out there, you're giving people the ability to come back and find you and then hire you for jobs. When I first started FroKnowsPhoto, the idea behind the website was to hopefully put work out there so that the right people saw it, to then call me to hire me to do photo gigs. That was the idea behind it. What ended up happening is people started to ask me questions because they looked to me as a teacher. So I went that direction and started answering their questions. But I also got gigs because of the branding and marketing that I've done. With FroKnowsPhoto getting to the size of where it's at, people start to reach out to you to do sponsorship and advertising and have you go out and do more jobs. That's what it's all about. That's why marketing and branding is so important. And that's why I want to roll into giving you some more details about how you can better market and brand yourself. And let's do that right now. So the first detail that I want to talk about is your logo. Your logo is your brand. It's what people are going to remember when they see it. Now, I've seen a lot of people go over the top with logos. I've seen people that have very minimalistic logos, and either could work. But there's some things that I want to show you in some of these logos on the computer right now that they just don't work. And certain things like bad text, like this, that says Brant Olson Visuals. I had to get that close. I couldn't understand what this is saying. This is just script that doesn't work. And the problem here is that the photos are great, and I can't read the logo. So that's something that you want to think about, is when you're doing a logo, not to have it that you can't read it. Simpler is better. Easy fonts to read are better. Where can you go to make logos? You can have friends draw them up. You can type them up yourself. You can look at a place like 99 Designs, which is a marketplace where you put it out into the world and people send back 30, 40 different designs and it will cost you a couple $100. Logos logos are a major part of your brand. The FroKnowsPhoto logo that I had designed right here as part of my brand, it cost me $500 when I didn't have any money to start doing what I was doing. I knew how important a logo was, and I had that thing made for $500. Somebody drew it up. It's become the logo. It's become the brand. It works out really well for me, and that's a really good logo. But let's go through to some of the other logos. This one, I don't even know what this says. I have to look at his URL. It says Christian Brooks Photography. What is not so good about this logo right here is the size. One, it's the size. I can't see that to see what it says. Two, it uses 3 different fonts in the same logo. You don't want to use multiple, like too many fonts in the same logo is not going to resonate very well. Just a few tweaks and it could be much better. Then we move into Dan Newman's. It's simple. It's plain. You've got Dan Newman. It says Dan Newman and it's in a box. It looks good. It's just simple. I'm going to remember that. Here's another one. We've got A over D Photography. Andres Desguzes. Oh, that's a cool street photo right there of this lady. It's very Vivian Mayer-like. That's pretty cool. So it's a pretty cool logo. It makes sense. You've got the A, you have the D, you have the red line for whatever it is, and it works. It's simple. Moving on to the next one. You've got the Traveler, established in 2014, so not too long ago. But look at this logo. It makes sense. If I remember this from earlier, oh yeah, this was the guy who does a lot of traveling. thus the traveler photo. What a cool idea for a logo. He puts his name right up in there in terms of the traveler. It's established in 2014. It's a studio, The Traveler. Boom. It punches you in the face. It works. I love these two hash marks right here. It's simple yet effective. That's what you're looking for. Then we've got Adam Learners right here. You've got Adam, and then you got the learner. You've got New York City. You have just, it's basic and it's simple and it works. Logos are extremely important. Don't waste too much time trying to figure out what is the best logo, honestly. Come up with something that works, that's clean, concise, to the point. It gets across what you're trying to get across, and then move on. Now, if you have Squarespace, I've never done this, but if you go under Design and you hit Logos and Titles, they have something that says, Create a new logo. So it's going to pop up a new page, and look at this. I'm going to type in Jared Polin, because that's me. And I'm going to hit, this is a logo builder inside of here. Oh, look, I can search for symbols. I'll do that in a second. I've got Jared Polin. My tagline is as simple as I capture, I want to do that lowercase, photo, capture, photo, stories. And it's already set up like this. I could change all the fonts, I can change the color, I can do things like that, but I don't want a star representing me, so let's type in cameras and see what we have. So if I don't like the star here, for whatever reason, I can type in anything I want and see what comes up. I type in camera, and look at all of these different options. What would work best for me? Wow, that's a ripoff of Instagram. But then you have all different things. Say you like to do something like this. Right off the bat, this works. I can probably make this smaller. Yerp. I can make it smaller. I can move it around. I can put it here. I can put it there. It doesn't matter. It's pretty simple and it's effective. And guess what they do? They show you what it would look like on a business card. They show you what it would look like on your website. They show you what it would look like on a t-shirt. This is 3 seconds of work. 3 seconds of work. And we have a logo that could be effective right off the rip on your website. Boom. Some tweaking, we can change it, but look at that. And that's really good. And I can save the logo and I can go somewhere else. That's just a basic thing built into Squarespace that you get for free. So that's really it, guys. Logos, extremely important. Some tips for making sure that they're good is that when you look at it, you can read the name that is on the screen, show some friends, see what they think. But if it's clean, legible, and gets the point across, that's a great start for your marketing and branding. So now that we talked about logos, I want to roll into the tone and feel and the colors that you choose for your website. Simply by choosing a certain color, you're setting up the emotions that people will have. If it's a dark website, you may have a darker feeling. It's just that simple. If you have a light website, it's light and airy and your photos just float there, that could be a good option for people that are looking for weddings or things along those lines. I personally like the feel of a white website. It's soft, it's subtle, and it works well. Now in this case, we've got Mike Drake. It's a cool logo. I would like to see some separation from the background, but this is about the tone and feel in this case. We see that there's mountains, and then it looks like we've got mountains in the background on this road. It's a really subtle and soft image to draw you into the site. It sets a very nice tone on where to go. Now, I would change the background slightly so that this logo popped more, but I like that logo. But what I will say about this logo is I have no idea that this would be for a photographer because it's just mountain peaks that says Mike Drake. So that's one thing I would consider adding the stopping time, one shot at a time, underneath or somewhere in this logo to make it work. Let's go to DMX. Nope, DMK Photography right here. So this is very subtle. We have muted images that are pulled back. It's very artsy. This is a parallax website, as you see, which means when you scroll, it does what it's doing right now. This is subtle. It's soft. Because it's not overly boomified, I like to do boomified images. I'd make them pop off the screen, but that may cause tension and may make people feel like they want to leave. This is soft and subtle and inviting, and it wants to draw you in to the website. The logo's fine, but this capturing your vision and then through our lens, not a big fan of that in terms of marketing. I would want them to be the same. I just don't like that font. That's something that's easily changed, so I would consider doing that. Let's go to Mark Ruddick. I like this, by the way. I like his logo, and you can see this is a darker site. It's black. But this photo is shot on black. Now hitting this up arrow, a lot of the photos are shot on black or in a darker environment. These are people that work out. Jesus, look how ripped this guy. What is he? Does he have something written on his chest? Holy, whoa. Whoa, you guys are lucky you're not seeing this over here, but that is insane. Wow. Some really nice photos, and it works for his site. It works that it's a little darker because look at this. Look at this guy's muscles. They're huge. So much. All right, I'm almost as big as this guy. I don't know about that, but this works. Now let's move on to some sites that don't work. This site right here, the photos are fine. It's not the photos so much, it's the 1997 background, 1998, 2000 background that's throwing me off. This is very old style. This site could use a simple Squarespace rebuild. The photos work. I can see that this photographer does a lot of work because there's a lot of different weddings and photos here that really make a point. Ooh, cupcakes. I love cupcakes. When I get married, I'm going to have a whole lot of cupcakes probably. But this site, in terms of tone and feel, doesn't work. If I was going to land on this and I was looking for a photographer, I would just sit here and be like, whoa, I don't really like this, and I probably wouldn't go too much further. But it's really expose the moment. I don't know what it says. Engaging life moments. Engraving. Enjoying. I can't even read what it says when I get that close. So that's something that I would highly recommend changing, is that. So the flow of this and the feel of it and the tone, oh, more cupcakes. And they have purple on them. Boy, do I love cupcakes. All right, let's go to somebody else's. PR Photography. Oy. The logo, it's not terrible. It's not the best. In terms of tone and feel, it's clean, but I'd get rid of this blue. That's just me. That's just right off the rip, but it's not that big of a deal. The one thing that I wanted to point out on this site is that when I right-click, it pulls up this thing that says function disabled ! Prevent this from creating additional dialogues. When you are putting this on your site, and this could be part of marketing and branding, actually it is part of marketing and branding, what you're trying to do here is stop people from stealing your images. I don't care if somebody's going to get on my site and drag my image off of it. It is not a big deal. But when somebody right-clicks, even if you accidentally right-click, because I accidentally right-clicked on this site before we started, and this dialog box popped up, it makes me feel like I'm a thief. It makes it feel like you're locking your site up and I'm doing something wrong by right-clicking. That could be perceived as a bad thing and get me off your site. And another thing that happens on Squarespace sites, if you hit escape, most people don't know this, but it brings you into the login screen. You have the function, the ability to turn this off. This isn't something that I want popping up when somebody's searching around my site. So I make sure that I disable this function because I don't want this happening. So if you're on a Squarespace site, you have a Squarespace site and you hit the escape key, this pops up. Now how you change that is you go into settings on your website in the back end of Squarespace. We go into, where would that be? Advanced, escape key. And then you can enable or disable that. I have it turned off on my website because I don't want people accidentally hitting the escape key to go back or to turn something. Like I hit the escape key when a photo pops up on the screen and I want to go back to the beginning or go back to what I was on next. And having that login come on could be seen as unprofessional. So I would definitely turn that off with what you're doing. But remember, the tone that you set at the beginning of your website is set with the colors, the logo, the flow, and that's for you to figure out what works best, but make sure that it's not harsh and over the top. Having a huge green, off-green background may be off-putting. Puke green isn't the right choice to have on your website. It may make people feel sick. So think about these things when you're building a website, and you could always go back and err on the side of caution and go back to white. It's soft, it's clean, it's simple, it's bold, and it just resonates very well when you're trying to do something simple and you don't need to go over the top. So one of the questions I get asked quite often is, should I list my pricing on my website? Whether you're a photographer, a videographer, or any type of creative, of course, pricing becomes important if you're selling things in terms of, say you have an Etsy store, but you want to then sell stuff on your own e-commerce site, you can then put up pricing because people are going to buy right then and there. But when it comes to weddings or portraits or other events, having pricing listed on your website, I think, is almost a no-no. Why is it a no-no? Because people are going to show up to your website, see your pricing, and possibly be scared away and not contact you. I rather have them contact me because I can do a better job of selling my services and selling myself to somebody on the phone. Now, a lot of times people are going to contact you via email and they're going to want to try and get pricing through email, and they'll say, hey, what are your prices? You can't answer that question through email. You say, hey, I'd love to answer your question. Would there be a time that would be great to jump on the phone so we can hammer this out and I can get all of your questions answered, blah, 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 blah. Something along those lines works out very well. So when you get them on the phone, you can then share your pricing. You can ask the question, before you give pricing, the best thing to do in your business is to say, well, what type of budget do you have? You want them to then tell you what their budget is or give you an idea of where they're starting. What were you thinking? What were some prices that may scare you away? Not say scare you away, but those are the things that you ask. Instead of coming right out and saying, this is where our pricing is, you want to try to figure out what their budget is. I'm not saying that you're going to change your pricing because their budget may be higher, but if it is lower and it's close to one of your basic packages, you could then work with them and make them a deal. I'm a big fan of saying, when I was doing weddings and say I was at $3,500 and the couple would come back to me and say, well, we have $3,000 in our budget. And I'd be like, well, are you able to squeeze out $3,250, another $250 more and I'll take the discount and we'll do it. Sometimes they say no. But other times I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to take this job for $3,000, cut them a deal. I'm going to walk away from that extra $500, yes, but I'm walking away with $3,000 in my pocket that I may not have had because if I waited, I may never have gotten the job. And that's something you need to think about. Where do you work out deals? Is it better to miss out on $500 to then pocket $3,000? That's something that you really want to think about when you're negotiating. I know we weren't going to get right into negotiating here, but this is really important stuff to think about when you're dealing with people. But back to the website part. Do you put pricing on your website? I personally never put pricing on my website. Now we're going to look at some pricing on other people's website. Right here it says pricing. I like that it says pricing. We're going to get into some other options in just a second, but here we have every collection includes a museum quality album. Ooh, that sounds cool. It's museum quality. That must be really good. Keepsake flash drive, all right, and online gallery. Collections start at $1,800. So this is one way you can do it. You can say starting at $1,800. That is not a bad starting point. That at least gets people in the door to ask you, okay, what does $1,800 get me? Actually, it's listed right here. I'm pretty happy with what they give me. I'm going to pick up the phone and give them a call. And then when you get on the phone, it's like, oh, we start at $1,800. But if you'd like this, we could offer you that for a little bit more. Would you like this? You can do even more. And this is the sales techniques. As a photographer, whether you're an amateur who's not looking to make money or you're a professional, you still need to be able to close the deal. You still need to be able to market and sell yourself. Because what's the point of being in business and building your website if you're not going to sell yourself and get the sale so that you can do more jobs, pay for the gear that you have, even with amateurs? A lot of amateurs will say, I don't want to make money as a photographer. Change that mentality and say, I'd like to make enough money to pay for my gear. If you could make just enough money to buy that new lens or that new camera, I think you'd be pretty happy. So it's all right to ask for the sale. And that's what you do. And so that's a good example of what you could do. So let's go to this website again. Let's get it back to the beginning and see what we've got. We've got this. Oh my God! The music! Again! Don't have music on your website that autoplays that sucks. Don't have any music on your website at all. I got Spotify. I can listen to whatever I want when I want. So here we have investment. Are you investing in your retirement fund? Is this a 401k? Is this an SEP account? Are you taking my money and putting it into the market? That's what investment tells me. Yes, I'm investing in photography, but I don't want to read investment. That sounds so corporate. Pricing, just call it what it is. Pricing. How much am I? What will it cost? How much to pay me? All of those different things, not investment. I think investment is one of the worst things that you could ever say on your website as a creative. I just hate when it says investment. All right, let's see what pricing says when we click on pricing. Hopefully the music doesn't start playing. Oh my God, look at all of these options. 2-hour session. B, 1.5 hours. C, 1 hour. D, 30 minutes. Holy options, starting at $299, down to $79. So I'm going to jump into pricing. I just have to do it. I just have to do it right now. A lot of people say, how do you figure out your pricing? If you're doing a portrait session, or let's just break it down to any type of photography that you're doing that's basic. You have to figure out, what is your time worth? If you were working a day job, what would your hour salary be? What would you make every hour? Then you figure out, how far is the drive? You've got to account for your time, because time is money. How much work do you have to do before and after in terms of editing and preparing and talking to the client? Do you have to meet with them multiple times before you go to actually do the shoot? And then you have the actual creative time when you are shooting. A basic 1-hour shoot or 2-hour session means it says 4 Facebook images, 2 Instagram images, online gallery, 2 locations outdoors. You're moving and traveling. This could be 5, 6, 7, 8 hours of work. You have to consider that stuff when you're making pricing. I'll get back to this. Let's get back to this. I don't like showing all these options. This is just, there's A, B, C, and D. Plus A, B, C, and D doesn't look good. I don't want to be a D. What if it was F? I don't want F. I don't want to be this. So I am being pretty harsh on this. You could say starting at $79. When you say A package, B package, C package, D package, be more inventive there. You're coming up with an investment. Call it the, I don't know, Goldman Sachs package. Call it something like Barclays package. Come up with something that's simple, but say starting at, even if you do that. What else do we have? Investment, we've got session info. So there's so much info here. Please answer these questions and go over with me on the phone before your portrait session. Is there anything your family likes to do together that would be fun to include in your portrait? All right, it's nice to have something like this to send people to answer, because it's going to give you insight on what you can shoot. Then there is policies. Oh my God. Policies scares me away also. Terms. Session fee is required and due at the time of booking to reserve your appointment. Session fee is non-refundable. Collection fee due at the time of photo shoot. The session fee covers the entire session and the photographer's time and talent. It's just so corporate and harsh. Digital images. No refund or exchange on digital image orders. Each digital download is $50 per image, full resolution, or 10 digital files for $450 sent through email. Oh my God. Collection and prints pickup. See, it's just, we talked about tone in the last section. Tone also extends to how you talk to people on your website. The tone of the language, terms. Oh my God, it's so corporate. I don't want it to be so corporate. You can print this out or email it to them. I don't want to list. This is going to scare people away. And I know I've spent a lot of time on this site, but I just think it's important to talk about. FAQ, what type of photography do you like the most? I'm in love with, so this is you answering questions. It's just so much information. And I know you're just trying to save yourself time and everything along those lines, but let's move on. Investment, silver wedding package, gold wedding package, platinum wedding package. Have I talked about when somebody says investment yet? You know my feelings on that. Just call it pricing. Seriously, call it what it is. If you're going to call it anything else, don't call it investment. Oh my God, I just hate investment. So here you're setting up for people not to call you, possibly. Starting at $29.95, going up to $62.95, it's possible that you're going to scare the crap out of people that they may not even call you. If you want to start at $29.95, put that on your site. But why don't you say that you have packages to fit all budgets or something along those lines, or starting at X, Y, and Z, call me to figure out how we can work together. I'm just trying to make it so that people actually do call you. Because remember we said if you build it, will they come? Well, if you have them on your website and you scare them away away with this investment and these prices, then people aren't going to reach out to you. I'd rather have inquiries coming to me via email that I try to get on the phone and only book 30% of the people that call me, but at least we got on the phone and talked, because you have a better chance of selling somebody on you personally on the phone or meeting them in person than having them sit here and try to figure out which package is right for them on the website. You are the best salesperson for you. Okay, let's keep going here. Contact, client portraits, weddings, blog. I don't even see where it says client portal. Where is this pricing? Oh, rates. Okay, rates works. That's fine. It's a little harsh, but portrait pricing includes seniors and engagement sessions. Bridal sessions, 500. So this is literally listing what they are. Send me a message over to contact page to get started so that we can get you booked. On location sites are located within 15 miles of 75002. Please contact me for further details. Okay, so these are basic starting bridal packages starting at $500. Wow, that's pretty inexpensive. All right, well, that's inexpensive. Bridals must be completed 6 to 8 weeks prior to a wedding. Oh, does bridal session mean, does that mean engagement session? Maybe that means engagement session. Here's a tip for you if you're doing weddings. Include the damn engagement session as a added value. Added value. Any value that you can add to help seal the deal, build it into the price, and then that gives you a place to say, you know what, I'm at $3,500 and you only have $3,100 or $3,200 to spend. Go, you know what, I'll lower my price just a little bit, and I'll still throw in the engagement session. That makes goodwill. Any goodwill that you can give just makes you're easy to work with, but you've already padded your price a little bit to then be able to pull back if necessary. Don't turn down jobs unless you've got jobs every single weekend and they're coming in hot and heavy. Don't start turning things down because of a $200 difference in pricing. So I know I went a little off base here, but the whole point was to talk about pricing on your website, and then now I gave you some more information about how to better sell yourself when you're trying to reach out to people on the phone. So me personally, I don't put pricing on the site. If you really want to do that because you don't want all the tire kickers coming to you, then put starting at. But make it reasonable and then go from there, and make sure when people contact you, you ask the right questions. When is your event? What are you looking for? Where is it? What's your budget? And then you can go from there. So let me jump in here again and remind you that if you want to check out Squarespace for yourself, you can get a 14-day free trial over at squarespace.com/fro. Go ahead and use it, and if you decide that it's for you, use my code FRO at checkout to get 10% off your entire first year. Text, styles, colors, headers, all of these different things are important to your brand and to your website, no matter what type of creative or what website you're building. If people can't read the text that's on your site, they're going to have a hard time navigating, and they may actually get off your site and leave and not look for your services. So let's go through some samples right here. We have Chris Pearson Photography has a clean looking site, not just for the fact that the photos are clean and the background is clean, but the text is clean. He's using what's called sans serifs. It means it's without the serifs. Those are those little things that show up as serifs. I mean, that's what they call them. But this is without them, thus the sans part. Easy to read. Simple. It's black on white. It's clean. So let's move on. Let's see what else we have. We've got, what does that say? Oh, Miroslav Dakov. So we have Miroslav Dakov's site. It's a little harder to read. As we see, this font is jumbled together. It's bolded, but it's hard to read this. Look, stick with the simple fonts. Stick with the simple, easy to read things. You don't have to get overly creative in this section. Can you read it? Does it stand out? Does it make sense? If it's hard for you to read your own site, you may need to make a change. That's something you have to think about. In terms of the color, the black on the white works perfectly fine. We'll skip past my site for a second, and then we've got, this is showing you how the reverse can work. We've got a darker site with easy to see white fonts at the top. Now, I will warn you that if you do have a different photo that shows up in a cover page and you go from dark to light and you can't see the fonts, that's something you're going to have to take into consideration, whether you add a stroke around it or some kind of shadow, or just take that into consideration when you're picking the photos to go through the slideshow. You got to keep that in mind when you're doing it. Gary Askew. So here we have, I like his logo. It's actually pretty cool. It's pretty floral design, but then the floral, flowy design continues with weddings, gallery, FAQ, about me, contact, blog. Yeah, it's close, but I don't like these scripty fonts. Just because it's scripty doesn't make it wedding-gee or more wedding-gee, whatever wedding-gee means. But you know, wedding-gee, I don't even know how you spell that. But make this simple. You already have the floral and stuff up here. Actually, you have GA in a circle and then Gary Askew. You should probably either just use GA or your name and then use the GA logo button. When I say button, I mean just the GA part somewhere else on the site, because that's going to hammer home and reinforce the GA of who you are. But I would drop that from this frilly logo at the beginning, because you don't need to have that. Or even just drop this frilly stuff at the bottom. You could get rid of that. But I would change this font. Oh, because look at this. Look how just hard it is to read as we see this stuff. I would just change this, make it simple, bold, get right to the point, and keep moving. Then we got Don Reese's. Now, where to start on this? There's different, I mean, it's just hard to read. And then look at this, other galleries. There are 8 trillion galleries. If we're going to dive into all of that, look, his font up here is perfectly fine. But then having this continue on every single page that you go to is not very good. That needs to go away. But what I will say about Don's work is that his work is very good. When you look at these wildlife photos shot at a zoo, these are fantastic. It's just that I get lost. If all I was doing was looking at the photos, I'd be like, these are awesome. But then I get to this font, it just smacks you right in the face. It's so large and over the top, and there's multiple formats and styles, from bolding to regular to whatever you call all this italicized stuff. I don't like it. It needs to be cleaner. This needs to be changed. Moving forward, Devon Event Photography. Same thing. This is trying to be too much with the font. Just go back to a simple font. And then when you're trying to read stuff like this, it's really hard to read it on that type of background. You have to keep all of this stuff in mind when you're doing this. And then we went back to Mark Ruddick's website. This is showing you that you can actually have black text or white text on a black background. It works. It's fine here. Just make sure that the text is easy to read. If he was going to try some frilly stuff, it wouldn't work. One, it wouldn't fit his brand, and two, it would be very hard to read. So we're going to jump over to my site, and I just have simple text and simple fonts running down here on the bottom of the page. Now, this is really easy to change in Squarespace if you want to do it. You go into Design, and we go into Style Editor, and it pulls up the different styles that we could choose. You see this? It's showing you what will change. Right here, if I want to change the red to, say, black, I can just pick the different color, and it's done instantly, and it's not saving it and putting it live until I hit save. I like the red that I have, so I'm going to cancel that out. But that's showing you, yes, I would like to get rid of that. I like this maroon color. It's really simple to change. The font style, let's see, can I change the font in here somewhere? I'm sure I can change the font somewhere. Gallery styles. There's so many different options. You just have to go in here and read it and find out what works best for you, but I'll skip that for now. Let me just show you the site background. Do you see how it's white? If I wanted my site to be on a dark background, it could still work. We could still go through here and get back to the front page. It wouldn't change very much, but you can change that. I don't like this. Here's just something you wouldn't definitely want to do. You wouldn't want to do that. Okay, let me hit cancel. Go back to do that again, because I didn't take show all, site background, and that would be horrible. If I made it that red or that or even that, it doesn't work. So if you're trying too hard to do something, get rid of it. Go back to the plain and basic. Remember, the fonts should be simple. They should be easy to read. People should be able to read it on a background. They should read it on whether it's white or black. When in doubt, simple. Simple's going to do better. Just like I said, this was a really good example. Look at something like this as an example that you could follow to make it work, and that's it. So here's something that a lot of photographers don't touch on their website. It's e-commerce. But this is also made for people that aren't just photographers. You know how some people have an Etsy store where they sell over there, but sometimes it's really important to have your own place to sell your own wares. Whether it's photography, whether you're selling t-shirts, whether you're selling tchotchkes, whatever it is, it would be nice to be able to do that on your own website. So Squarespace offers you the ability to do e-commerce, whether you get the regular style of Squarespace, the $8 a month one, or they have I believe it's $25 or $29 a month currently, where you can get an e-commerce platform. So where I use something currently outside of Squarespace that's $99 a month, I'm looking to change and switch over to using Squarespace as an option. If you're doing e-commerce, this is something that you could look for, but there are also e-commerce things that you can do on your own website if you're, say, a photographer or something along those lines. Let me jump into that real quick. So currently, you see there's nothing on my website that says anything about having a store, but that's because I took it off of the website and put it not linked. This is limited edition prints. I'm going to put it back on the website. We're going to pop it in right here. You can see that it shows up instantly on the bottom of the website, and I put 2 prints in here that I would consider for sale. It was real easy to set this up. I named the print, I put a price tag on the print, and you can then add it to your cart and check out and do whatever it is that you need to do right down here, and you can sell photos like that. But a lot of photographers, portrait photographers, wedding photographers, event photographers, are looking for a solution to sell prints without having to do the prints, take the money, ship the prints, or do anything along those lines. There are services out there that I do recommend. There's one called SmugMug, which you can get. I still prefer using Squarespace for your actual website, but Squarespace and SmugMug have a partnership where you can integrate SmugMug into your Squarespace website. Now, you could also link out to the SmugMug site in terms of selling your prints, because what SmugMug does really well is the selling of prints. Basically, what you do is you upload your files to the service, you specify how much you want to sell each print or tchotchke for, and then when somebody purchases it, they collect a check, they instantly send it off to a lab of your choice who then prints it and ships it out to the person, and all they do is deduct the cost of the print from the payment that they made, and they send you a check. I still recommend using Squarespace as your website, and then you could use SmugMug to do the processing and selling, but you just simply put a link on your site to then link out to there to do the selling. That's what you do. So basically on mine, this is included in the $8 a month basic package. I can still sell stuff on my website, and it's pretty powerful. So let's take a look at some other sites that they have. Here we're going to click on Shop, and this is where I shop often for bras and panties, because why not? Click on this, and you can see it brings up different samples and examples. You also have select a color. Ron Burgundy is a color. And then you've got different sizes. It's simple. It's easy. It's real easy to build. Look, if you're a full-on huge store that needs a ton of custom functions and features, you're probably either going to custom build something yourself or find one of the higher end services out there. But for what Squarespace is giving you for the value that you're paying is really good if you're somebody who has a small store, or you're just doing your own merch at home and you want to list 5, 6, 10, 15 items and have it ship, collect your money. It's really a nice function to have, so I would definitely check it out. All right, so let's look through here a little. Oh, this one is sold out. That's the one I wanted for $175. Nope. All right, we'll check something else out. Let's go on the panties because they're not sold out. I saw this photo here, and look, it's great that you can put a photo, but let's bring that up a little bit and do a quick critique on this. Why would you cut the toe off? Don't cut the toe off. If you're going to have everything in there, then have everything in there. That's just me going off on the photo just real quick. Remember that when you're doing that. This is my current store, my store.FroKnowsPhoto.com, where you can pick up all the different merch that I have, and I'm not happy with my store. That's why we're currently rebuilding the store we're going to work on Squarespace to see if it works out for us, which we started to build, but I'm not happy with my current store right now. It's too powerful. It costs me $80 more than what Squarespace would cost me, and that's really that. So E-commerce. It's something that you can have on your site. Most people won't as a typical photographer, but if you're a band, this is a great thing to put on your site. Get the e-commerce version because you can still build your website. You can then put on e-commerce to sell merch, ship it yourself, collect the money, and there you are paying for everything that you do because you have the e-commerce option over on your website. Remember when I said that people aren't just going to come out of the cornfield to find your website? You know, the build it and they will come reference. That's true when it comes to social integration on your website. Being connected to the different social streams is so important to get your marketing and branding out there that you have to make sure you do it right or that you are doing it at all. So what are the options that you have? We know there are so many different options, but what are the main ones that I think should be on your site? Well, for photographers, I think it's important to link out to your Facebook because there's 1.6 billion people on Facebook around the world right now. So why would you not want to put your stuff there to hopefully link people back to your website to bring them in to see your message? That's what social media is all about. That's what I do on FroKnowsPhoto.com is I play with people in their sandbox, and then if I need to get them back to my site, I find a way to get them back there. So let's get into Matt Trimby's site here. You can see that he has 3 buttons down here. He's got Instagram, he has Twitter, and that looks like to be YouTube. I love the fact that they're the logos. You know what these logos mean when you look at them. You know visually because they're branded so well that you know what that is. But I don't know why he doesn't have a Facebook. As a photographer, as a creative, as a musician, if you do not have a Facebook and you do not use it, you are doing a disservice to yourself. It is free and it's access to a ton of people that may be clients for you. It's a great way to get your stuff to share out there into the world and to get more people. So let's keep scrolling. This one, they used Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. For those of you who don't use LinkedIn, I personally don't use it, but LinkedIn is a great business resource. If your jobs that you are looking for have a lot to do with people that are CEOs or presidents, or there are so many corporate people on LinkedIn, it is such a great lead generation place to interact with because you can get connected with so many people that may be looking for your service. So offering that is a good option. Now, what I don't like about this is that it just uses the text. It should use the logo. The logos are branded and everybody knows what they mean. So here, I don't know this is Facebook until I read it says Facebook. But if I saw the F logo, I would know exactly what it is and where I was going. So we've got then K Sperry Photography, and this is great. This is just simple. There's 4 of them there. And these, it's not just social, but it's also your email address. We got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, very main ones right there. But there are other ones that we'll get to in just a minute that are also important. This one is Ed Aldridge, and the reason I brought this up is because there's this Squarespace button down at the bottom. We'll call this a bug that is just interfering with his website. Yep, interfering. This is something that you can turn off. Now, this is great branding and marketing for them, but you're paying for the website. Get rid of their branding. To do that, we go back over to the website. You go under Design on the back end, and then right here you see that it says Squarespace Badge, and then you can go ahead and make the change to enable it in black, in white, or disable it. I personally turn it off. That's what you should consider doing if you're using the Squarespace. Now, we get onto this guy's site. I still can't read his font like we talked about. What's that say? Brandt Olson. See, I still can't read it. I still can't read that font. He has a lot of different options. You've got Facebook, 500 pics, Instagram, Flickr, Vimeo, Twitter, and Google+. One, get rid of Google+. Nobody uses Google+. I don't even think that should be an option that you should consider on your site at all. Now, the question is, how many social buttons are too many social buttons? I think once you start getting over 4 or 5, you're really going pretty far. Now, the way that you can make up for this, for finding you on different social entities, is that you could use your blog. You can use your blog effectively to write a blog post about each social media and what people can do with you on social media. So I would definitely consider doing that. If you're not going to use if you use Google+, then do a story about Google+ on your blog. Same thing with Vimeo. Or if you have the videos, just get them posted somewhere. So let's go into Squarespace here and see how you do this. Let's go back here. We're going to go into Settings, and then we've got Connected Accounts. And you can see that you can click Connect Accounts and look at all of the different options that you can add for social connected buttons. It's so great that they build it in that you don't have to do any coding, you don't have to do anything else other than click on the button, pick the ones that you want to use, connect your accounts, and it shows up on your website simply and clean. You've got all of those options. Then you've got images, you got 500 pics, Behance, Dribbble. I don't even know what Dribbble is, but they have a basketball, so I like it. Going down here, you got video, Vimeo, Vivo, Vimeo, Vine, YouTube, a lot of V's going on in there. And then music. If you're a musician, you already have integrations into Google Play, the iTunes Store, Radio, SoundCloud, Spotify, and bands, what's that say? Bands in Town. I like their logo though. That is a really good brand. You know what? You want to look at good logos and good branding? Come in here and click on Connected Accounts and look at all of these buttons that you will recognize just by looking at them. That is good branding, that is good marketing, and that is something that you can look at and see how simple some of these are. Pinterest. Remember we talked about Pinterest earlier? Pinterest is strong and important if you're trying to get people to share your stuff out. Currently, a lot of women use Pinterest. Pinterest is primarily women using it, but that's starting to change a little bit. But people use it because if they're getting married, or they're doing portrait sessions. There's different boards out there that people will pin your stories, your photos out there into the world so that somebody can see it. They'll come back to your website and they'll be like, oh, I love what you do, and they may hire you. Instagram is another great marketing tool if you're looking to do weddings, portraits, any type of photography, not even weddings and portraits only, so many other things. You put it out onto Instagram, you hashtag it, you put those codes in there, those different things like wedding photography. Ooh, we're getting into the marketing stuff that I probably shouldn't do, but I'm going to do it anyway. Consider it bonus. Instagram marketing. Remember how we said write a blog post where you talk about the 5 best venues to get married at in Bucks County? Well, make sure that when you put up a picture from that venue, you hashtag that venue. You find the name. You tag them in the photo, because what happens is people are going to come by and see that venue and they want to see other photos that were taken at that venue. What happens when they click on that hashtag or they search it on Instagram and they see your photos and go, wow, I see a ton of photos that this photographer took. They're going to follow you. Then they're going to come back to your website and they're going to contact you to maybe do their job. And that's why social integration is so important, and being smart about how you use it and thinking about it and tagging and hashtagging. It's cyclical. It's just an ongoing, ever-going, endless cycle. But the more you do it, the more people are going to find you and the more gigs you're going to get. All right, I got off track there, but you can see all the different options that you can have. I've got Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, email, and YouTube. I should probably start using Pinterest a little more to share my photos out into the world, but you can add as few or as many as you want. Just know that the more you add, people are just going to be overwhelmed if you have too many choices. So, social integration is extremely important. Make sure you're on the major ones. Make sure you jump onto the new ones that show up to see if they turn into major ones, but definitely play in those sandboxes, tagging what you need to do, hashtagging what you need to do, making sure that people come back to your site, because that is your sandbox that you control, and that's it for that. If you're watching this guide, you're probably interested in making your website better, or you're looking to build your first website, and that's why I recommend using Squarespace. It's what I have been using personally for jaredpolin.com for the last few years, and I absolutely love it because it's an easy, turnkey solution. What you see is what you get. You do not need to have a background in building websites, in coding, or anything along those lines, because I certainly don't have those skill sets to code a website on my own, but I have the ability to understand how easy it is to set up a website using Squarespace and how easy it is to make changes whenever I want to put them. I can put them live, I can take them offline. It's just so easy to build a gallery, and I guarantee you that in about 30 minutes to an hour, you can have a fully functioning website up and running that's going to be so much better than any other free website builder out there. Now, if you want to sign up for Squarespace, you can get a 14-day free trial. That means there is no credit card needed to get the 14-day free trial. Please go to squarespace.com/fro. You'll see this welcome to Squarespace thing, which will remind you that when you check out, if you use the code FRO, you'll get 10% off. But what I want to show you on the inside here is you go on to squarespace.com/fro, and it will ask you, do you want to build a website, or build an online store. If you're looking to just build a website, click here to get started. You can see the different options. If you like and you just want to make a cover page, simply just a cover page because you're not sure you want to make an entire website, you can get that for just $5 a month. That has all the hosting and everything that you need to do, but it's just the basics. It's just a cover page, and that's simple. I personally use the website version, which is $8 a month when you sign up for an entire year. So when you sign up for the entire year and use the code FRO at checkout, it's going to be less than this. Even for $8 a month, you can't go wrong to have an easy-to-use, professionally hosted, professional-looking website, and including that app that you can download to showcase all your photos. This is an absolute joy, and I love using it. And for $8 a month, you can't go wrong. Now, if you want to add an online store there, then you're looking at $26 a month, but you still have all the functionality. Oh, I want to go back to the website thing real quick. If you sign up for a full year, you get a domain name for free for the first year. So that means for $12.99, which is the current price, you can get jaredpolin.com or whatever it is that is still available. You can get 1 year free, so that's saving you even more money. And then if you're looking to do a web store, you can check that out for $26. You can see all the different templates that you can choose to get started. It is really simple to use Squarespace. That's why I use it. That's why I recommend it, because if you know nothing about building websites, you're going to be able to do it with the help of the guide that I've created and given you that you've downloaded, as well as how easy it is to use and build on your own. Like I said, in about an hour, you can have a fully functioning website launched out into the world, sharing it with everybody, showcasing your work, and that's why I recommend it. So go to squarespace.com/fro to get your 14-day free trial, and don't forget when you check out, use the code FRO to save 10%. So here's something that's pretty cool. If you've already launched your website or you're going to be launching a website soon, we're including a website audit checklist. Now this is something that you can download. It's free. We're including it so you can have it. You go through your website as an audit to make sure that you hit the certain points that are important to find on your website. You've got things like how many photos should be on your website in each gallery. What should your bio look like? It's a lot of the things that we've already talked about throughout this guide that you're just going through to make sure that you check those boxes. Are the links easy to read? Is your font and text choice proper? Does your logo stand out? All of these different things are highly important. Do you have ways for people to contact you via email, through your website, through the phone? What are those best options that work for you? What I've done is given you ideas for what you can put on your site. And now you can go through and figure out what ideas are best to use, what you shouldn't use, and you figure out what works best for you. So as I'm going through the audit here, there's certain things in here that are really important. How many galleries should you display? Are there too many galleries showing up in the top right-hand corner? Is my social integration set up properly? Is it easy to navigate the website? It's all of the things that you may not think you need to do, but having this checklist is really going to help you go through your site. Now, if you're using Squarespace and you're building your site for the first time, you can keep it so it's not public, but you can edit it and view it as if it was public, so then you can put it live as soon as you do the audit to make sure that you have everything on there that you want to have. So make sure you look for this website audit. We've included it for you. No matter what type of site you're creating, an audit like this will come in handy. Make sure you use it if your website is already live or before you put a site live. Here's something that a lot of people may forget, or they may get overly interested in, and if your site's already out into the world or you're building it, metrics, analytics. These things are really important to determine where people are coming to your website from, where they're leaving from, what is the most important content that they're finding on your website. But I want to warn you that when you start looking at these metrics, that you shouldn't be focused completely on some of the numbers. Because what's going to happen is you're going to chase numbers for how many times somebody shows up to your website, and now you're just chasing numbers instead of the ultimate goal. Now, metrics are highly important. If you're using any type of website, you can put Google Analytics on there. That is a free software that's offered. That's what I use on FroKnowsPhoto.com. But here on jaredpolin.com, because it's a Squarespace website, they have a metrics button right here. And I go ahead, I hit metrics, and then I can see all the different options. I can hit traffic overview for the last month. I can see the spikes. Oh, why did I get 24,922 page views on this day? I honestly couldn't tell you right now, but that is a huge spike. You can see how many visits there's been, how many page views, audience size. These things, you can read all about it. They have all of the pop-ups that pop up on the screen that tell you exactly what audience size means. But metrics are great to read. One of the important ones are refers. Where are people coming to your site from? We know that FroKnowsPhoto is sending people. Look, a ton of people are finding me on Google. Can I click in and find deep? Oh my God, look at that. I can click in deeper and see where they're coming from around the world. Google.at and .at. So these are people searching Google.ca. So I'm big in Canada. Awesome, love my Canadians. Big in the UK. You can see, ooh, look at that search. That's just straight up Google.com. You can see where people are coming from. Refers are highly important. So you know, here's something, that if a venue that you're working with, you're a DJ, and you work at a certain venue and people are finding you on their website, and now you can see that, oh yeah, I got 27 clicks last week from that website. That's a good thing. That means maybe they're doing their job over at that venue that you're paying to promote you. That's something to keep in mind as well. Wherever somebody has links, is one of those online, the Knot, or a place that you're paying money, they'll give you some analytics, but having your own tracking analytics to get people back to your site to know where they came from, it makes you know that your ROI, your return on investment, is worth it because people are coming to your site. What other metrics are, mobile usage. Mobile is highly important. Again, we talked about this earlier with the responsive website. Mobile is really important because a lot of people are consuming media on their phones today, which reminds me that I want to talk about a downloadable app that Squarespace has. We'll get to that in a follow-up video in a couple minutes, but let's keep go through metrics. What else do we have on here? Mobile use, popular content. I want to see the most popular content. So people, the Mr. Wives show day is really popular content. Why is it popular content? Because I sent people over there from FroKnowsPhoto.com to see that I built a new gallery. Actually, I think I made a quick video, a quick tip on how to put up a gallery, and it sent people back to my site. I used social media to drive people back to my site. I put that up on Facebook, I put it up on Twitter, I put it up on YouTube, and I put it on FroKnowsPhoto.com. So I used all of these other entities to draw people back to my message on my website. So you use the social media, which is free in most cases, to get people back to you. We also know, wow, a lot of people looked at my limited edition prints. That's interesting. A lot of people went and saw my mom's photo story. Part of the reason that has started to spike, and I will show you in the last week, it's probably higher, because that is when you hit enter me, you're going to enter those photos. It's going to take you into that gallery where you can see those photos, so I can see that type of content. You can also see where people are looking on your site to know which content is most popular. Or maybe if you want to bump up a piece of content that you have something called a hello bar that we didn't really talk about that Squarespace offers you. It's really simple to do. It's a welcome bar at the top that you can change the color, change the text, and link out to something on your site. For example, if you just did a new photo shoot and you want to put that up there, you can put up the hello bar and you can say, latest photo shoot, check it out, click here. And that will take people to that specific page on your Squarespace site. And it's just something that you can toggle on and toggle off, and it's highly effective. Search engine queries. You can see what people are searching for and how they're finding you. That's another important thing, that if they're finding wedding photographers in Bucks County, then maybe you need to hammer home more of those type of things in your blog. Activity log. I don't even know what activity log is. Oh. It's the visitors' IP addresses and where they went on my website. There's a ton of different metrics that you can follow, and it's great that Squarespace builds them in for free. Like I said, if you're not using Squarespace, you can use Google Analytics. That's something that you have to figure out how to install into your website. But this stuff is highly important for you to do and to track. But like I've said about anything, your job is to be a photographer or a creative or a musician. You should be out there creating and not sitting here watching the metrics day in and day out. It can become overwhelming if you're being ruled by metrics and just chasing numbers. You should be chasing clients, not just numbers. So that pretty much is going to wrap up this entire free guide to helping you understand how to build your websites better and to make sure that you know what's going on there. And that's really it. So here's a cool free app that Squarespace lets you download that helps you when you're offline or you want to quickly show your images, because there's those times where you're in a building and you're trying to show somebody your portfolio and your website is just crawling along. Well, they have this app called Portfolio, which I'm going to launch right now. You can download it. I'm going to get my information in here. All right. I'm going to go ahead and log in. And then what it's going to ask me to do is sync what I want to sync on my phone. Oh, I'd like to have this 100-year-old factory. I'd like to put that in there. We'd put that in there. And so I'll just stick with those three for now. You can pick whatever you want to pick, and then it's going to sync, and you can see that it's creating it for my phone right now. This is for offline viewing. This is an awesome function to have. Boom. I go in. I can look at the images. I can scroll through. I can turn it sideways. Hold on. I can turn it sideways, and you can see it full screen like this, but you can quickly go through it and you can zoom in. This is all done automatically for you by this app. Now, if you swipe up from the bottom slightly, I'll show you that in a minute. Here we go. Swiping up, you can see that you can change this to squares. You can do all different things. As you scroll over, you can change the size of the prints. Look at that, or the files. And then you can swipe over again to sync, to find your content, or to get help. But this is just quick, easy, awesome to have. It's free to download if you use Squarespace. I highly recommend doing this for when you are offline and you just want to quickly show people your photos. Now, I want to remind you that I've been using Squarespace personally as with JaredPolin.com. I use it because it's easy to use. I can do all the changes myself. The 24/7 customer support is great. Having all of the searchable terms that if I want to know, oh, how do I use metrics better? They have a video about that in the help section. So if you're looking to build your website or switch over to Squarespace, please go to squarespace.com/fro. You'll get a 14-day free trial, no credit card needed, which means there's no obligation. If you don't like the service, don't use it. If you decide to sign up for it, please use the code FRO at checkout. You'll get 10% off your first order. So that means if you sign up for a full year of the basic one, it's about $8 a month. You can't go wrong with $8 a month. It's going to be hard to find hosting for less than $8 a month, let alone get the entire package that Squarespace offers you right here. So that's why I recommend it. Please use my link. Please use my code because that helps me out. But I really thank you guys very much for checking this out, and I look forward to seeing your sites. Please be sure to send them in or post them on social media and let me know that you use this guide, and maybe I will critique your website in the future to help other people learn from the changes that I may find on your site. So I thank you guys very much for watching this, and I hope to see your site soon. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya. So if you like all the functions that you're seeing with Squarespace, well, go ahead and get a free trial. Go to squarespace.com/fro to get your 14-day free trial. And if you decide that it's for you, use the code FRO at checkout to get 10% off.